Hello. You find yourselves in a ratty way station in northern County Solwood, Cormier. This room smells like mouse shit and hay. Outside, you can hear the horses muttering to each other. A cat meows somewhere at the edge of the inn. You can hear the innkeeper, if you can even call this an inn, snoring in her side room. Here in the main room, the Cole Cormier foreman, Devon, is sleeping with you, and he indicated that he is back to Arabel in the morning. You know that you are close to Garden Reach. It should be a 3-hour ride up the West Road from here. It is currently 8 p.m. on September 1st. You've indicated that you wish to take a long rest, and your party is arrayed as follows. If you take a long rest of 6 hours, it will rob you of a bit of your focus tomorrow, perhaps imperceptibly. That is to say, if you are on watch for the 8-hour long rest, you took a 6-hour rest. This means that Euros, you were taking first watch. Taldred, you were taking second watch. Ada, third. Brenner, last watch, ending at dawn, 6 a.m. tomorrow. Nothing Gold, sleeping through the night. Gastmere, sleeping through the night. Let's start with Euros on first watch.
We're on patrol.
One moment. You indicated that you wanted to watch outside.
Correct.
Do you see anything?
I'm going to do a perception roll to see.
That sounds wonderful.
Nope, not really.
What was your roll?
An 8.
You hear the characteristic hoots of a distant owl in the treetops. What you do find, Euros, is a moment of introspection. You have time to dwell on your decisions and the way that people have chosen to perceive you. You feel seen. The flaming fist seems to be on the tip of society and the party's tongue. You consider what initially drew you to their employ. Euros, did you wish to impose order, or did you wish to do the right thing?
Ultimately, the right thing is what should transcend complete order. Because complete order isn't always the right thing. But there are boundaries.
Your watch passes uneventfully other than this burst of introspection. Taldry Talton.
Hello.
We find you. Hello. We find you inside the inn, as you indicated, taking watch from the inside, listening. You are awake with someone inside the inn. It's Devon, the Cole Cormier foreman. You can see that he's working on what the party asked him to provide, a list of the miners. Occasionally, he makes eye contact with you, and you feel that during these 2 hours, you could probably start a conversation with him should you choose to. Here, inside the inn, you hear his pen scribbling away and the sounds of a couple people snoring, Taldred.
No. No, I don't think Taldred would talk to him.
At the end of your watch, he's just finishing up, and he curtly provides you with the list.
Taldred will take it and he will say, "Thank you so much."
Devin does have one question for you, Taldred. He asks you, I'm leaving first thing in the morning. Is there anything you want me to convey to the Paladins when I get to Arabel?
I don't think that should be necessary. We should be back before long.
He hands you a scroll.
Did he also hand me a layout of the mine?
He explains to you that this mine has been mostly closed off, and at this point it is essentially a hole in the ground that follows the iron vein. There's nowhere to go but down.
So there's no branching at all.
Not anymore.
Per his words. Okay.
Exactly.
Is that because other tunnels were collapsed, or?
They were closed off once the veins had been mined out.
Why would they close them off? Just for general stability?
For safety.
Understood. Okay. So it's a straight shot down. I'm trying to remember from the last session. Did he say it was trouble? But I can't remember what the. That'd be enough. That's all Taldred would say. He's got the. I would like to look at the sheet, and start reading up on the miners.
It is in your manifest under party items. Should you choose to put it with your personal belongings instead of sharing it with the party, please take it from that sheet and put it on yours. If you leave it on the table or something like that, then you can leave it where it is.
Yeah, I'll share it. And I would be looking at that during my watch.
You do so, and the rest of your watch passes uneventfully. Ada. Ada. You are invisible, as you intended. Isn't that right?
That is correct.
Let me find you. One moment. Ada. You are invisible, and you're waiting for signs of life?
I'm looking to see if anybody enters or exits, who passes on the road, and when my concentration wanes, I'll do the same thing I do every night there's a clear sky. Look for constellations in vain.
Roll an intelligence check.
Natural 20.
You can create a constellation based on the stars that you see. What symbol comes to mind?
I'm looking for the Ring of Eight. I'm looking to see if Mistra's still up there.
You do so. You look. While you are gazing skyward, you notice something. Walking along the periphery of the inn is a curious little gray cat. Somehow you get the impression that it can sense you, Ada. You can't figure out why exactly. Can the cat sense your heat? Are its whiskers that sensitive? How does it know where you are in time and space? Somehow you can tell that it can track your movement.
I immediately will think that this creature is mystical in some way. And I will try and figure out what type of devilry this is. I would like to roll an Arcana check.
Please do.
18.
This cat seems mundane to you. A little underfed, maybe.
I will just watch the cat. I'm not going to give up my position.
You do so. You watch it lick its paw and resign itself to the far side of the inn. The rest of your watch passes uneventfully. Brenner.
Good morning.
Good morning. You have the watch as dawn breaks. You have the final watch. And you find yourself here on the porch. Dawn breaks over the storm horns. You see someone slip out of the inn. It's Devin, as he suggested, leaving at the first light of day. He's eating a bit of dried meat, and he makes eye contact with you as he gets ready to walk back to his horse.
Brenner will gesture silently as if to acknowledge his exit.
He gives you a deep nod. Is that what you mean by gesture?
Yes, correct. Give him a solid nod and wave goodbye.
He mounts his horse, checks the saddlebags, tightens a strap on the saddle, and urges the horse south, riding toward Arabel. Nothing gold. You have no watch. You struggle against a nightmare, successfully, and you find some sleep. Gastmere. You have no watch. You sleep dreamlessly. It is 6 a.m. on September 2nd. The sun rises to a cloudless sky. The firs bow and shake in the buffeting wind. Good morning. The action's with you.
Brenner will enter the building, knocking heavily on the wooden pane to his right. Rise and shine. We got minds to go through. Is anyone difficult to awaken?
Morning.
Yeah, probably.
Brenner would gently shake you by the shoulder.
What? What?
We have a mission, and you need to be awake.
Yeah, I heard you. Is there any morning food prepared, as sometimes there is at inns?
Absolutely not.
This is more of an out.
Taldred has a cigarette for breakfast then.
You do so. It stimulates you, wakes you up. The air is cold. The hearth is sparsely fueled here.
After ensuring that everyone is at the very least awake, Brenner would go check the horses.
They're still there, all 6 of them. The water is a bit chilly. You look into the troughs and you see hints of ice where a bit of the water must have frozen overnight. The temperature is really dropping.
Is that typical for this time of year?
It's not entirely out of the question for a natural phenomenon in September. An early first frost, maybe, but it happens.
I'd like to drain my water skin and refill it at the trough or water barrel, if applicable.
There is a water barrel here. You know nothing of the provenance of this water, but to the best of your knowledge, Ada, it seems clear and smells inoffensive.
Castamere will follow suit as well, actually, if she sees Ada doing that. Might be a good idea.
You follow suit, Gasmere. So far today, for people eating and drinking, I have those 2 drinking their water skins, fulfilling their water for the day, and refilling them here in the water in the inn.
Taldred will drink his water, but he will not refill out of that thing.
Noted. Please make sure that's updated on the manifest. You sate your thirst, Taldred. Outside, the wind buffets this little structure. Timbers Creek. This is far from hospitable.
Far from hospitable. Like it's uncomfortably cold.
It's chilly in here. The air is... The inn itself is too porous. These stone walls are in ill repair. The wind just cuts through this structure. It's drafty.
Well, I hope you brought warm clothes then.
I'm gonna drink my water as well, and then I'm gonna go down to the river and get some fresh, not stagnant water.
You do so. There is moving water right there. Euros, you have a sense that you are finding something safer than whatever is in that barrel. Your logic is that a mountain stream is surely cleaner than whatever is being served in that water barrel. You're not sure if you're correct, but the logic makes sense to you.
Spending enough time in cities, I try to get fresher water when I can.
So
I
Devin,
think. Oh, sorry. I was gonna say I think nothing gold follows Yoros, but in that way where she's trying to make it seem not so obvious that she's following him. She just happened to have the same idea at the same time.
so that Devin left in the morning. Did anyone get his note?
Right here. Taldred holds it up.
I'm going to edge in and try and get an eye on it.
Yeah, so let's have a look, says Gasmere, and just
Taldred like
strides up.
yeah, sprawls it out on the table.
What's CC? I'll jab my finger into the piece of paper where it says CC next to various people's names.
Old Cormier?
Ah, Cole Cormier. That must be the company then.
Yeah, years of service with Cole Cormier. That must be it. But then
Doesn't
what's not
seem
much
so
CC?
much as service than servitude.
I suppose. Well, we have the descriptions. Is everyone ready to move out?
This is a pretty seasoned mining company, I gotta say. 8 years, 5 years.
World
Yeah,
needs
Devin
manners.
made it sound like they got caught unaware. That seems unlikely.
You think there's something else going on?
Huh? Yes, I do. The rats flee the boat, and we charge in.
We can talk about it on the way there.
We should.
The sooner we leave, the sooner we can get back to Arabel.
Agreed.
Brennan will make a point to assist anyone up on horses before getting on his own.
Tallard will definitely take that assistance.
So will I.
So will nothing gold.
Jasmine refuses accept like help at this point. We'll see if she feels differently when she falls into the mud on her face, but
Why would Gastmere refuse help? A sense of pride?
probably exactly that, yes. Like, especially if she's from the kind of nobility that is used to riding horses, you're not supposed to, like, get boosted into your seat after a bit. You're supposed to know how to actually do it.
You're supposed to look majestic when you swing your leg over.
Yes, yes.
There's a certain amount of showmanship and proving competence by being able to do these basic tasks associated with the landed class.
Yes.
How about this? Gastmere, roll animal handling. If you're being assisted by, if you are part of the Brenner circle for this, Brenner, you roll that animal handling at advantage for anyone that you are assisting. You are handling that for them. And Gastmere, let me get your roll first.
I keep rolling really well. 17.
You fulfill the mold that you are trying to cast yourself in, and you are able to very easily and majestically get up on this horse that is still relatively new to you.
Just as it should be. The horse is submitting nicely. Yep.
Brenner,
Am I making 3 rolls separately for nothing gold, Ada, and
you are making one roll for the groups. You are rolling at advantage. So I just want your first 2 rolls for this. And is that your 1915?
correct? Yes.
At advantage. We'll take the 19. Brenner Oswick, you find yourself in a familiar position. You are helping people. You are drawing people around you. Why, before we know it, you'll be explaining to these people the creed of how you live. There may be Oswickians among us all.
He thinks so.
While I prepare your horses, which way are you riding?
Should be north, correct? South is Arabel, north is towards the mine.
I think there was something about the western road.
Right, it laps around to the west. I guess that's more accurate.
You are both correct. This western road loops back to the north.
Apologies, I'll be right back.
You find yourself somewhere new. You are on a northern road in County Solwood, northern Arabel. There is a small stream here that flows south. Everybody roll perception. This is happening behind you, if that is relevant to you. Let me know if you get over a 19.
Nobody did. Well, I think we're missing one.
Yeah, also a cut too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Super sorry about it.
Mr. Brenner Arswick, you will be forgiven as soon as you roll perception for you at disadvantage.
Solid 4?
Worse than my 5.
The party feels observed by unknown forces, but the road seems perfectly safe. You can't shake the feeling of paranoia. Your horses pause for a moment here, begging to be watered. You can't help but relent. The horses drink from the stream for a moment.
Likely that Elven sniper is still on watch, you think?
Certainly could be.
I think that was a different path.
Likely all their land, though, yes.
I wouldn't know.
The elves think all forests are their lands.
Mildly racist?
I mean,
D&D.
I mean, she can say it. She's half elf.
she's not really wrong.
It's Aldred.
Yeah.
We're going to discuss theories about the mind.
Okay. What are you thinking?
What am I thinking? Why did we get sent here? Why did the foreman run away? He seemed guilty.
Guilty.
Why did a crack crew of experienced miners get caught by a mysterious force in a mine that has no branches? Oh wait, I didn't know that. A mine that exists. There's a lot of questions left unanswered.
Always are.
Oh, aren't you just dying to know?
Hopefully I'll be living to know.
Amen.
Well, they're important to Arabelle, so.
We need these miners.
But more importantly, we need to be back before sunrise tomorrow.
What do you think they need the miners for?
We were told they were artisans.
Artisan miners.
They certainly seem experienced, judging from the note.
But it's pressed quite the interesting question. What are they mining for, then?
Out of character question. So, is mining like a newish industry?
That
Or
is an
the coal mining industry specifically.
That is an excellent question that I would love to answer for the entire group. So thank you for asking it. The history of mining in Faerun is ancient. For many millennia, many different races have extracted value from pulling minerals from the ground. However, I think this is what you are alluding to. Recent developments in industrial technology have allowed for new methods of pulling things from the ground, new manufacturing techniques, strong advances in metallurgy. So that there's been in the past, especially in the past 10 years during the spell plague, there's been this huge push forward with the technology of what's possible. And
So it's
back
safe
to you.
to say that people are only oh so experienced.
I think that's an excellent perspective. On a new technology, you can only have so many years of experience to be so experienced in things.
Still, the question remains, if they have a mine within their purview, they can protect these 4 artisans for, what do they need to mine if we're saving the world? Perhaps questions for them. I can't stay here all day.
Well, I mean, everything else is lacking a budget, so I wouldn't be surprised if they are too.
If I was Arabelle, I would want my artisan miners in the mine.
would assume so.
Perhaps they're moving there somewhere else.
Wouldn't keeping them directly in the mine be dangerous, though?
I don't know. This fellow's worked here for 8 years. That's almost the entirety of the spell plague.
I think he's worked with the company for 6 years, not necessarily this mine.
He could just be a paper pusher for all we know.
Lesian Aster, foreman, 8 years of service with Cole Cormier.
It seemed to me as if there was some ambiguity about the quote-unquote ownership of the mines.
Nothing gold. Roll insight.
$21.
You have an excellent frame of reference for this. For a naturalist, you see the borders of the world to be naturally shifting and changing. Imagine two wolf packs. They don't have a clear border, but somehow they have the ability to coexist and understand where one another are. You are able to place Garden Reach in the same type of framework. You know that multiple human interests are trying to express their power and influence here, and the elves of the Cormant there as well. It is thus that no one clear power can truly claim ownership of this border region.
To your earlier point about the elves, again, expressing ownership, that doesn't really seem like the right word, but over the forest, these days, wood is not as powerful a source of energy as coal. They would be very interested in the resources of this mine, as I'm sure any human camp around here would be. Without magic, all you have are these things to power heat, whatever technology you have. It's the new gold.
It is. Yet we're sent here to extract humanoids and not gold.
Well, I'm sure they're expecting conflict, and Devin did not seem like an armed man.
Not at all.
Perhaps the possibility that there is another endeavour that these people are needed in is quite viable.
I would think so.
Well,
Is this gold? Do you truly believe that we are needed back in the city?
Why would you not think that? The Oracle himself
Oh.
said that the city would be under attack.
The Oracle himself, indeed.
And the priest at the temple seemed to find that highly dubious.
I mean, the priestess of Cyric? That god of lies you all love so much?
Yes. That's quite a dubious source, isn't it? That's why it's such a curious statement. I suppose we'll see.
I suspect that the attack is a distraction for some other operation, but we're really not going to know until it's here. Either way, my concern is protecting said Oracle, and he seems like a very valuable target if you were one very paranoid Tierney Fang.
If one believes in his powers, yes.
Do you not?
Why would you?
I've yet to see proof.
He's
And
certainly
yet-
convinced the church, but
Yeah.
I'm
the
not
whole
going to
order
lie.
is
You're all
rallying behind him.
here. Why are you all here? He's
I'm
the one
being-
who asked for you.
I'm being paid. I believe him very much so on this whole Tierney Fang. This Zentil keep. Not
These
so
are
much.
very desperate times.
Even if it's just a front, I'm not going to lie and say that I don't trust him. Any more than the priestess with a network of spies. If anything, I trust her more.
So none of you have ambitions to be this hero that returns magic to Faerun and saves the world.
I could particularly care less.
You?
I would like to return magic to the world, but it's not going to be on behalf of the Oracle.
I'm interested in the end results, and my reasons are my own.
I want to destroy the Zentarum.
If
Interesting reason.
nothing else, he is very powerful, as I think Oswig was the one to say, in getting people to follow him. That is not a trait that I see any of us being particularly skilled at.
Excuse you?
Excuse me?
Pardon?
Have a retinue of 50 men
Where are they?
south of Arabel. Camped. I left them because I have my own mission.
Are they close enough to be able to help protect Arabelle?
Unlikely.
Hmm.
Still all the same. They have not been paid. No deal has been
Anything.
made.
Most of us are soldiers of duty, and you've come crawling out of the woods.
Actually, she apparated out of nowhere.
I don't care.
I must confess, it was quite impressive.
Thank you.
I mean,
Are
that
you
is
sure you didn't merely miss her crawling out from underneath the bridge nearby?
Is that where you... I don't mean to be rude. Is that where you live?
No, it's a joke. She's joking. It's very hard to tell with her facial expression, I know.
Certainly not necessarily accustomed to your kind.
Well,
Is it an inside joke? I don't get that euphemism.
An inside joke, I suppose. Either way, I did not mean to insult your connections, only to say that I am still concerned with the protection of the Oracle. You may not be, but I think it's okay that I am.
Why?
Why not?
Why not? Well,
Are we here to start ranking the value of one human life over another?
To this much I agree. I would save him like any other man, but not above one.
curious that you've thrown your flag in that corner. I'm just wondering why. By face value, he seems to be a politician.
You can call it sentiment.
So you know the man.
I think we've tarried here long enough.
Indeed.
Taldred Talton.
Uh-huh.
In the same way that a mission that sends you through a portal gives you a strong sense of you've already burned your hand on a stove, listening to this discussion gives you echoes of a party fractured and people from within forming alliances. It gives you a sense of this quiet.
Yeah, but Taldred understands that everyone's in this for different reasons, and he thinks that they're all aimed at the same goal. It's not quite the same as the parties he's been a part of previously. So it is a little unnerving, but it's not a. He doesn't think he has to speak up and try to wrangle things together. He's still feeling things out, and he's not so disquieted.
Absolutely. I am merely a tiny facet of your internal monologue.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if nobody feels like going to see who's spying on us, shall we keep going?
I'm spying.
Who said anything about spying?
Did you not feel that we're being watched?
Literally
That hasn't
all the
gone
time.
away.
I just assumed it's the animals and the birds.
I see we have multiple oracles.
I began this discussion by bringing up that elven sniper. Did you think that was out of nowhere?
I doubt that we're going to find them in their own forest.
If we were truly trespassing, there'd already be an arrow between my shoulders.
Oh, don't tempt fate.
Are you being targeted specifically?
Oh boy, I hope not.
We should keep moving.
Press on.
Go ahead and lead, Taldred.
Right. Onward.
You're the first horse.
Yeah, he like shakes the reins, like it'll get the horse moving.
You shake the reins as if you are trying to shake the embers of a fire together. It works a bit. It sounds like the party is traveling north on this road. Is that correct? Any final business on this momentary distraction on the way to the grave?
We're done here.
One moment. Taldred Talton, can you roll me a D100, please?
Absolutely. 71.
Thank you. You find yourself somewhere new. Garden Reach appears to you as a rusting array of foundries and coal chutes set into piles of crushed stone. It is clear to you that this was once a place of constant work, although it currently lies dormant. The corrugated and stamped steel that composes the superstructure around the entrance to the mine here has been weathered by the elements. The storm horns loom ominously over the scene, and you can see the conifer-dominant tree line extending northward to the horizon. The entrance to the mine is hewn into the rock itself. The cavern entrance is roughly 10 feet high and irregular. It appears to have been cut from the rock using tools. Dust is on every available surface outside here.
There are no buildings.
Just what's set into the rock. You can see what seems like the cave entrance has been repurposed, and there must be some type of dwelling within.
By rough estimate, how long did it take us to get here?
About 3 hours, you think.
When did the sun set the previous day?
What is your frame of reference, Nothing Gold?
Just that it takes longer to travel in the dark, so.
You estimate that the sun probably sets this time of year around 7 or 8 p.m.
Taldred will move up beside Brenner and say, should we announce our presence?
No need.
What if
What
one
do?
of the miners is nearby?
What if the elven archer is?
Then he already sees us.
Yell if you want. Just try not to cause Gavin.
Taldred will call out, hello?
Your voice booms. It echoes through the mountain. There's no obvious response.
Are there any employees of Colbert here?
You attempt to get some service, to no avail.
Okay.
Off to the left here, these what look to be water troughs.
That is exactly what they are. Those are water troughs. Some of them still have a bit of water in them, and there is what appears to be a hitching post here in the form of a tree.
That was my question. Brenner would like to hitch his horse over by the post.
You do so.
Taldred will follow suit.
Yeah, I'll watch him do that and copy.
Same.
That's me as well.
It sounds like, is this everybody?
Yes.
You dismount. Your horses are here, tied to this tree.
What's the plan of attack?
You know, for a mine that seems fairly important, it seems fairly underwhelming.
I will admit I'm not particularly familiar with mine. It doesn't
I'm not-
stand out to me.
I'm not either, but I feel like, I don't know. I don't know what I was expecting, but it doesn't, not this.
I would have expected it to be busier.
Well, we're only looking for 4 miners and not, say, an entire cotillion, the way you might have once before the spell plague.
Was there a sketch of the mine provided?
No, he simply explained that the mine is a straight shot. No branches. One big tunnel.
I see.
That's extremely disconcerting.
Taldred's checking out the ground here where he's standing.
I'm
Look-
not saying it's a great idea to go into a one exit mine.
You examine the ground, Taldred. The soil here is yellowish and thick. Gathering some in your fingers, it feels gritty. It reminds you of doing push-ups in the dirt.
So, what does the traffic look like here? Or what kind of role would you like if I'm trying to determine recent traffic versus old traffic?
Investigation, please.
Fuck.
Is something that somebody else can assist in, because Gasmir would like to take a look around at the tracks as well.
You absolutely can, Gasmir. So there are 2 ways you can approach that. You can either assist him on his role, giving him advantage, or you can pursue a different direction. For example, a role other than investigation, or investigating something different in the scene.
I think Gasmir will go a different way, like kind of more towards the tree line, and kind of examine to see if there's anything that might have come from the forest to go into the mines. If Taldred was more like examining near the mine.
15 is the roll.
We're
This
going
was investigation? Sorry.
Actually, Gasmir, for you do nature.
Okay.
And that was a 15 on the on the investigation, is that right?
Investigation, yes.
Taldred, you investigate the tracks. You are able to discern 2 things. Specifically from the angle of why is there not more traffic here? Or how recent was the traffic here? You can discern, 1, you know that coal is a major power source in this region. Nothing Gold was just talking about this. You were told that this was an iron mine. Kneeling down here in the dirt, nothing here says to you iron other than the redness of the mine water that seeps out of the mouth of the mine. You'd expect more stuff.
Well, he said there were iron veins, but it's entirely possible they could have found something else and began mining that, correct?
You pontificate this question aloud. There's no one here to answer it. Gasmir, what was that nature roll?
That's 14.
You look into the tree line, thinking, did something come out of the trees here? You discern several things about the land as it relates to the trees. 1, you find evidence of many years of erosion here. This mine has been here for quite some time. You observe that there must have been other mine shafts that must have been abandoned long ago. And studying the older mine shafts at the entrance to the mine, you make a quick determination that they are likely abandoned for good reason. There is a slow trickle of reddish water under your feet, and the source appears to be the muddy confluence at the entrance to the mine.
Are there any lights inside the mine? Torches, things of that nature?
It looks rather dark in there.
Casimir travels back to the group after a while and points out the sludge. There's quite a lot of this red liquid. And this is a very old mine as well. Not recently established. Who knows
Anybody
what's
have
in there?
experience with mines?
What's in this mining cart?
Nothing gold. Inside the mining cart, you peer your head in. You're not sure what evidence you're looking for. Instead, you find evidence that the planet is being killed. You can see in your mind's eye 30 years of humans with balding heads and hairy limbs and lunchboxes enameled with color.
So coal.
Taldred peeks inside. Are there minerals in here?
There are dusty gray rocks.
I would like to open some of the crates and barrels around here.
Why don't you identify a crate or a barrel? Let's see. Where is Ada Worthware? Go ahead. Pop open a crate, Ada.
I'll try and pry open a crate. If it is nailed shut, I'll use one of these pickaxes next to it.
You do so. You find a crate, and it appears that it would be designed to be opened by a crowbar or a pickaxe, something like that. You open this box. Inside, there are 18 pairs of matching blue denim heavy gloves.
A lot of gloves here. 4 miners. I'll go to the next crate.
You go to the next crate. It's nailed shut.
This time I'll mage hand it open.
You cast the mage hand cantrip. You radiate with power. Your invisible hand. Your invisible is not intangible. No.
Phantom?
Your phantom hand pries open the box. Inside, there must be 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 nails.
There's no buildings here.
Right. But
Roll. Go ahead. You first.
it's kind of across the table, so I'm not gonna.
Ada, give me an insight.
$13.
These nails look weatherproof.
The detritus behind me, is that? I'm going to put my hand on it, my actual physical human half-elf hand, and try and smudge it onto my hand and see what I figure out.
You find something. Touching the rocks, they are all covered in a thin layer of snow. You infer that this must be tailings from the mine. Perhaps there were important ores once contained in these rocks, but they've been long broken and left here as a litter.
I'd like to grab several pairs of gloves.
You do so. They're all dark blue and large in size.
I have a question. This cart that Taldred is looking at, it appears to be a cart that would be rigged to a horse or animal of some kind for travel, yes?
That's exactly right, Taldred.
That's right. So they weren't just removing these rocks, they were taking them somewhere, yes?
Looking at this cart, you can infer that whatever was in here was likely to be moved somewhere at some point.
Taldred picks up one of the rocks if there's one small enough.
This looks like coal to you.
Okay, gotcha. So they had a shipment of coal waiting to go, and it was abandoned. So someone left in a hurry. So there's trouble here.
I thought this was an iron mine.
They must have found coal.
It is the Coal Cormier Company.
That's right.
I feel something was miscommunicated.
Well, as he explained, they had closed down other mines. They kept, as I can tell, it tracks what Devin said. He said that they were following iron veins, and then closing them after the iron had been depleted, and they kept going. They must have struck coal at some point and figured it was worth more than iron.
Well, should we enter, or is there anything else we're interested in here?
Well, who has light sources?
I do.
That's good and all, but everyone should have one, if possible, in case people get distracted, fall behind something, cave in, I don't know. But if, is there deadwood around here, like things to fashion torches out of?
There is. There are a number of finished sticks that were once used for what looks like a sled. You could easily fashion quite well-made torches quickly, Taldred.
My second follow-up question was, are there just torches lying around? Because I have to imagine they would need them for the mine.
You see no torches here, but peering into this mine shaft, you see sconces. Some of them have burned out torches in them.
Okay. I don't think Taldred would know anything about whether or not those torches are any good. So he will definitely start collecting some deadwood, though.
You do so. Snow falls gently on the scene.
Maybe somebody would like to grab a length of rope.
Sure.
I brought rope with me.
I certainly didn't. I see that there's a big coil of rope here next to this what looks to be a wheelbarrow. How much rope is that?
This is far more rope than you bargained for. This has to be almost an inch thick, hemp, very heavy duty. You could use this as a rope to use for common mundane purposes, but it's hard to imagine. It's dramatically oversized for any common function.
Really big rope.
Extremely.
How about the barrels over here? Taldred will check those.
How will you check them?
Oof, good question. Taldred will simply try to remove the lid. Like, I don't think this is... Well... No, that's not entirely true. He would have had... what's what I'm looking for here? He would have had experience with stuff like this when he was a merchant. So... is he capable... can I try to remove it with just his hands?
You can try. Your hands are a bit frosty. You... and prepare to try to simply pull the lid off. It's frozen shut.
He'll jostle it. Does it sound like there's anything in there?
It does, but it sounds nearly solid. Something's moving around in there. Maybe an air bubble?
What? Taldred is going to call someone else over. He says, anyone can open this barrel?
I'll grab the pickaxe.
You do so.
I'll walk it over to Taldred.
What
Just worked on the crates.
exactly are you doing?
Thought I'd check the barrel. Maybe there's oil for a torch. That's what I assume is in here.
I bet you it's pitch.
Also possible. Taldred will take the pickaxe and try to pry it open.
You roll a strength check.
An advantage or not?
No, not
Okay, just because usually if you use like a prying instrument, I was just asking. So
No, that's valid.
16.
You pull it open with a crunch and a squeak. It's ice inside. Must have been water that froze almost solid. You see a bit of liquid in the middle of the ice.
That liquid being water, I assume.
You assume.
Okay, making sure.
Why would 4 miners need an entire barrel of water outside the facility?
18 pairs of gloves. It's clearly not just 4.
6,000 nails.
I'm ready to crack this case wide open. Let's get in there.
Agreed. Before we go, I see that on second inspection that there is a coil of chain that look more human-sized chain rather than comically large rope.
There is. There's an iron chain here.
I would like to pick up said iron chain and shovel in preparation of going into a cave.
The shovel would have to be lashed to your pack unless you intend to carry it.
I believe I should be able to lash it to my pack. I'm carrying basically nothing else, correct? That is what the trail pack does.
That's exactly right. You have the ability to do that. Please add the shovel and the chain to your inventory. The
And
chain.
for the record,
Good.
Taldred simply set the pickaxe aside. He did not keep it.
No value in such a thing.
Not that he can see. So Taldred moved to the mouth of the cave. Hold that thought. And he will cast light on his pendant.
Power
Spell focus.
surges through you. You cast light on your talisman of Salune.
I see I'm not the only one with secrets.
Taldred looks back. You what?
Did you forget the entire interview of meeting everyone?
It's been a minute.
It's fair. Early in the morning. Roughly how long is the chain?
40 feet.
40 feet of chain, thank you. My brother will accompany the party at the mouth of the cave.
Castamere stalks over as well, and the warm light somehow still manages to look cold on her face when it outlines her features.
Stalks. That's an interesting word. Worried about something?
Always.
You have a sense of dread.
Nice. That's what I always wanted.
Are you peering inside, Taldred? Would you like to take a little peer? Okay. You peer without entering. One moment. You can peer in to this initial hallway. Also, this is a philosophical point that I was going to bring up before the session, but I'll bring it up across the table right now, okay? Everyone with me? No more fog of war tool. The fog of war is in your head, okay? Have fun.
I will.
It's so foggy.
I would just assume that characters will be on the map if we can see them, and they won't if we don't, right?
That no, the character your frame of reference and your point of view is only limited by your camera board, essentially.
Sounds good.
So, Taldred Talton, back on the table. Looking down this hall from the entrance to the mine, you can see walls that appear to have been hewn with tools. There's what seems to be perhaps a closed entrance to another mining shaft. You see some type of paper notice that's been stapled to the front. Too far away for you to read. Looking inside, you think you see more troughs to water horses, and there must be something around the corner.
Taldred's ready to move forward.
Did Taldred provide us with torches?
He has sticks, and he will say if anyone has supplies to fashion torches out of these.
Oh, I'm a little empty-handed there.
I was hoping we would find something in the area that might help with that.
So, while they were originally looking at the mouth of the cave and everything like that, I wanted to casually look at this southern tree line for anything, and then if anything of note is spotted, and then also if I see a good couple, like, solid branches on the ground, I would probably scoop those up.
Let's start with your observations.
Sure.
Euros roll nature.
14.
You gaze into the southern tree line. For a moment, you see something distant, the face of a doe. It's an herbivore, kind of dumb looking. It makes brief eye contact with you and then scampers off through the trees to the west. You see nothing else of note in the forest, from what you can tell, and you are able to find 2 sturdy sticks, both of fir wood, here in the forest. Holding them in your hand, they both have a bit of sap on them. They smell fresh, resiny.
Okay. I'll just kind of hold them in my offhand and I'll head towards the cave. And then, while I head up, were these, I guess, bags right here investigated at all?
You're not sure.
Are these bags?
They are bags. They are canvas or burlap sacks.
So can I just take a look at these before I head up to the cave with everybody else?
Absolutely, you can. You investigate the first burlap sack. It's closed. It's been tied with rope. The rope is a bit frosty.
Disconnect?
We lost Jewel.
Looks like it.
This burlap sack is currently closed. You could pick it up, feel around in it, test its weight, cut it open.
For all intents and purposes, is it just safe to assume I would have like a small knife for cutting?
I feel like Yoros is the type of person who would have something like that. Just a small, perhaps folding dagger he keeps in his pocket.
Like a survival-esque. I'm just gonna go ahead and like do a small cut on the top of it so nothing flows out.
You make a small cut. It smells like nothing. You could stick your finger in, wiggle it, or maybe hold it up to your eye.
Sure, I'll take a look.
Looks like barley.
Fresh or kind of sodden?
It's very fresh out here in the frozen mountain air. But you feel like it could have been sitting here for a while. This is a strange place to keep rations or anything that spoils.
I'll take a quick glance in the other bags too.
The other bag, precisely. You find different types of rations. Frozen potatoes, frozen radishes. Some of them seem like they could have been sitting here for maybe even a week.
Is everybody within earshot, I presume?
Depends how loud you are, yours.
I guess. Well, I guess Gasmere and the Nothing Gold are the ones closest to it. So I'll just simply raise my voice and I will just. Has anyone seen what was in these bags?
No.
If
Why?
anyone. Rations. Some fresh, some not.
Oh, presumably they do need to eat.
Yeah, but based on everything going on, don't you think the timing of their age is odd?
I think everything here is odd. We're clearly looking at something that was probably a lot bigger than just 4 minor.
I'd like to walk over and grab a handful of whatever looks the freshest to shove in my pack.
You see several things, Ada. When you say freshest, none of this looks immediately potable. The best you could find would be a raw potato. It's frozen and the flesh is cracked.
If it'll keep me alive, yeah, I'll take it.
You do so. You pocket 2 or 3 frozen potatoes.
I've had worse.
You sense that given the worst, this could sustain you. It's starch, energy.
Coal for humans.
Close enough. Are we done rummaging through their supplies? I have 4 people to save.
Yeah, I'll quickly grab a couple fresh things and then I'll rip off a piece of burlap from, I guess, whatever bag looks like it's the worst, and I'll wrap them around the ends of the sticks I got.
You create a makeshift torch from a resinous pine stick and some burlap that you just ripped from this bag. You have a sense of accomplishment. You created something that will solve the immediate problem. You look to gather something fresh. The same descriptions that I provided to Ada. Was there something from these things that might not be immediately potable, but things like frozen grain, potatoes, root vegetables, anything like that you would take?
I'm pretty fond of root vegetables.
You grab a dozen radishes.
Good for soup.
The wind howls through this little gorge.
Let's find these miners and get out of here. Anything else?
Agreed.
You coming, Nothing Gold?
Yeah, I suppose there's no better way to protect the horses, so let's just try to make this fast.
I'll go in.
It sounds like the party, as one unit, is entering the mouth of the cave. Is that correct?
Correct.
You find yourself somewhere new. The action's yours.
What am I looking at on my right?
You're looking at what appears to be a closed mine shaft. There is several papers stapled to the timbers here.
I'll read one of them.
They all say the same thing. The closest one says, Coal Cormier Limited, Garden Reach 1 and 2, closed. Danger, exposed elevator shaft.
I will light up my staff.
You do so. You glow with power. Your staff glows with light.
What's it smell like in here?
The smell of gear oil, thick petrolatum, drawn from pump jacks in southern Zambia, hangs in the air.
I'll move forward following the minecart track.
You do so.
What do I see around me? I guess the path branch.
The path goes to your right, as you can see. To your left, you see some troughs for watering horses just here inside the cave to give them a modicum of protection from the elements. At the end of this track, you see a minecart full of black rocks and two machines that you do not understand that look like they might be there to crush or somehow process rocks from down below.
I'll move forward into the chamber.
You do so.
I'll try and illuminate as much as I can.
You cast your light high over your head in an effort to illuminate as much of the chamber as you can.
At a very high level, I assume the rocks underfoot are not coal.
That is correct. They are mine tailings. Crushed nothing. Scrap. Junk.
I'm gonna wander to the side room while they're looking at the big room.
You do so.
Gasmir follows Euros, actually. Euros had a torch as well, right?
Euros has a self-made torch.
Taldred follows as well.
The party splits into two groups. Party going into the southern rooms. Describe your intentions.
Looking
for the miners.
Looking for signs of life. Or, lumps that look suspiciously like previous signs of life that are now dead things, the usual.
You see no signs of life or death. There are piles of papers arranged around a singular work desk. There is what appears to be a small residential-looking chamber with a number of hastily erected beds. It's a bit warmer in here, and you can sense that you're insulated a bit from the cold.
So we'll take a poke about the desk and see if there's anything that stands out in the notes that are scattered about.
You brush your hand through a pile of loose papers. It's in your manifest.
Taldred calls out quietly, says, "Hello." I assume there's no response.
Unless one of your party members responds, your hello goes unrequited.
I will respond with a faint hey, just to mess with them.
Taldred turns and just shrugs at Euros.
You shrug at each other. Party on the northern side of the room. What have your investigations yielded, or what do you attempt to investigate?
Is this what I assume to be a lift to our left?
That's exactly right.
From Ada's light, there doesn't seem to be any other exit from this room, correct?
Not from what you can tell. This appears to be a lift that goes directly downward. It appears to be well kept. There are controls on a small... the controls are on the side of the platform.
If there's no other way down, it's completely possible that they just were left behind. You're to assume that the lift can be controlled from the top and only the top.
That would seem like poor design, now wouldn't it?
Across the table, because I sensed that my description there was weak, the controls are located on the lift platform itself. You could investigate the controls or different aspects of the elevator should you choose to.
I would like to look at these strange machines on the other wall.
You do so. You're not sure what powers these machines or how they work. One of them seems to be designed to crush rocks. The other one seems to be some type of shaking or sorting type machine. You feel like if you had occupational expertise here, you would know exactly what these are. However, to you, they're just machines that process rocks.
I will marvel at them for a few moments.
You do so. Engineering does impress you, Ada.
So, rather than mining coal, it seems more likely they were bringing coal in to power these machines. I think Nothing Gold will want to investigate the elevator contraption itself to see if it's in good condition.
It appears to be well kept. Everything here is clear and clean. In fact, there's even an inspection certificate next to the mechanism that you're examining. The controls themselves are brass. There is a console here with 3 buttons and a tin plaque that accompanies it.
What do the buttons do? Is it self-evident?
Should you choose to investigate it, yes, why don't you, do you see where they are on the southern side of the lift there? There is a lever. There is a brass plaque on this lever with 3 buttons, and you realize that it is quite self-evident. The brass plaque has a tin plate with it. The tin plate says, Cole Cormier, asset number 78204. The brass plaque says, Cather & Co., Mine Safety Elevator Mark IV, serial 0451, manufactured 4/62. From left to right, the 3 buttons are labeled Ascend, Descend, and E-Stop. There is a brass bell connected to the panel with a thick, insulated wire.
She'll call out to the others and say, this elevator mechanism looks like it's in good condition. I believe we could use it to go down.
I would assume that's the only way we can go. No signs of life here. Before leaving, Brenner will lovingly pat the machine in front of it, looking at Ada. All that without magic, too, huh?
Very impressive.
Will start to make his way back towards, try to reconvene with the party that seemed to have split from his field of vision.
It seems like the party is once again one and the same and all together. In some capacity. At least you're acting all together now.
Smith was looking at the notes for a bit and then just noted to herself or anybody who was in the near vicinity that these are complete gibberish. I cannot understand a single intent on this entire paper. And then she throws it away.
Well, you have better chance than I do.
And none of us are miners, I'm afraid. They appear to communicate in some manner of jargon.
Words?
Taldred is looking for signs of... Well, I wouldn't say signs of life. Taldred is looking for something that would indicate when was the last time any of these things were in use.
Roll investigation.
While he's doing that, is this a chest by my foot?
It is a dresser. It is like a vertical, like a armoire.
I just give it a once over as well.
It contains work clothes in the same occupational blue denim that you observed in the gloves outside. Taldred, what was the result of that investigation?
11.
You notice that the candle is cold. All of the place settings seem to have been sitting here for a bit, and there's no food on any of the plates. The bedding is dusty and seems to have not been touched in at least potentially a week. I'm picking up someone's keyboard.
Sorry, that must be me.
It's okay.
But Devin was here, or so he said.
What do you see?
Looks like nobody's been here for weeks.
Yeah, the armoire and the other there just had some clothes in it. Gasmir took some papers, said something, threw them in the air, and left.
Okay, well that confuses Taldred. He walks over to the papers.
I'll follow up behind. Yeah, she mentioned she couldn't understand it because it was gibberish. I mean, again, she probably had a better chance than I would, so I can just read basic stuff. That's about it.
Taldred will pick up some of the papers in the area.
I believe they're still on the party page of the manifest.
Okay.
Should you choose to discard them, or I believe also I'd like to have tracking on who has Devon's notes. Let's go ahead and either delete these or drag them to your sheet if you, copy and paste them on your sheet if you take either of these items.
I believe Taldred has the paper.
Eldrick does have the paper.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Okay, so it says it seems like there was a lot of handwriting here. Is there dates? Any dates on these papers?
There are dates. You can go back and see at least 20 or 30 years of miscellaneous notes. It seems like this operation must have been built on the shoulders of organizational giants. The common wisdom of drawing things from the ground here was passed along through this organization through documents such as these. Many people gave their life to this operation in some form or another.
What's the most recent date?
The most recent date you can find is 3 months ago. It appears to be some type of production schedule. None of the abbreviations mean anything to you, but it's from this summer.
Okay. And that's the latest entry.
From what you can find, none of this appears to be kept in a particularly organized, let alone chronological manner.
So in that regard, does there appear to be a reason for that? Was this place ransacked? Do I get the inclination that this place was ransacked?
Excellent question. You get the impression this is the work of multiple messy minds rather than someone who came in looking for something, for example, like a bandit or even an industrial espionage agent.
Okay, so it's just miners who are uncoordinated then.
You may choose to develop that judgment should you see fit.
What is over here on this table here?
A place setting.
What now?
A place setting. It's cold and empty.
What are the
Probably
things
nothing.
on
Get
the
back to the room.
grounds? There's like little items on the ground. What are those?
You see wrappers from packaged goods. Checking each of the individual wrappers, you see the names of some popular breads and biscuits that are common here in Cormyr.
Okay. All right. I assume they're all of them are empty.
That's correct. You can find residues, perhaps, little bits of crumbs. But Taldred, you're no rat.
God no. Taldred will make his way back then.
You do so.
No other exits then.
Nothing down there. Just 2 rooms.
Nobody's been here in a long time, possibly weeks, possibly months.
They make a call. We head back now or go down this contraption.
I mean, might as well check.
There could be
how's it work?
someone still down there, so I think it's worth checking.
I hope they had food then.
If nothing gold strikes the bell attached to the insulated wire, does that seem... Would she hear something perhaps linked to it further off?
You flick the bell. trying to see if it resonates in time with another device or if you can just sense where the wire goes. The wire seems to go into the control panel itself. The bell makes a shrill ringing sound as you tap it.
Is that entirely necessary?
Well, it's supposed to be very safe, so it's certified.
Yes, very safe inside these mines where 4 people have gone missing, and now anything that may have murdered them definitely knows we're coming.
For the record, there was 6 beds.
6, you said?
Yes.
Perhaps some of the miners simply quit their jobs.
I don't like it.
Given how old these mines are, I'm getting the sense that they simply sent a strike team, as it were. I think, you used to need thousands of people to devastate a mine. Now you only need, how many of us are there? 6?
I think that we didn't come here not to get the miners. We should exhaust all of our options.
Alright, well,
Let's
do
go
you want to go straight down? All the way down as far as this goes?
Let's find out.
Ease it down if you can.
Don't these things usually have levels?
I've never
Can't
been
say
in a
I'm
mine
familiar.
before.
I've only read
Wouldn't tell you.
stories. Can somebody on the platform check the state of the rope suspending you? The mechanism itself seems to be in good order.
I'll inspect it to the best of my ability.
Is this something where Ada can be assisted in inspecting whether this thing is going to drop us into hell?
Does this look like the comically large rope from outside?
Answering all 3 of you in turn. Ada, you check the rope. It appears to be about an inch thick and hempen. Gastmere, you examine the same rope. It's a little yellowed, but it seems to be in good working order from as far as you can tell. I'm sorry, Brenner. This does match the rope that you saw outside. From what you can tell, it's the same cut of rope.
Do I think this could hold the entire party without a problem?
Ada, roll insight. Brenner, what did you say? I'm sorry, I missed it.
I said it's a load-bearing rope. It lifts rocks.
13.
You look at the mining cart and the platform, Ada. You can see in the middle of the platform there are little impingements on the floor where a mining cart would normally sit here. You infer that if it's good enough for a mining cart, it surely is good enough for 6 humanoids. Or so you hope.
So down we go.
Who's piloting?
Nothing Gold will press the button that says descend.
You are currently not on the lift. Are you going to be on the lift when you hit descend?
I think Ada's the one off the lift.
Oh yes, Ada's the one off the lift. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Ada.
I intend to be on the lift.
Okay.
As
Is
an
there-
observation, how did they get whatever's pulled up from this elevator to the tracks?
You have the sense that something is awry with this setup, or it was changed recently.
Perhaps you can ask the miners when we find them.
It just seems odd.
Is there anything to hold on to on the elevator?
Each other.
I was just about to say you can hold somebody's hand, but I'm like,
Brenner will kneel to break. No idea how fast this thing goes.
You do so. You kneel, bracing for an impact that is planes away, perhaps. So, and I'm sorry, I believe I interrupted. There was a button being pressed, is that correct?
Yes.
Did you hit this button? Okay.
Nothing Gold hits this button.
Okay. One moment. You hear a sputtering sound, and then the soft, uneven hum of something distantly working. You can see about 15 feet away a little steel cube emitting some irregular clumps of black smoke. In your mind's eye, you can follow the smoke, upwind and out of the cave, like a slender, sooty finger that dares to touch the sky. The bell rings twice. Everybody roll perception. Let me know if you get over an 18.
19.
Anyone else?
15.
Euros.
Anxiety Yoros at it again.
Your sense of paranoia and anxiety seems to serve you well. You put several facts together quickly as the elevator starts to descend. The bell rings twice. This tells you, one, this shrill bell ringing in an enclosed space seems purposefully loud. You realize that it is likely made to alert parties at both ends that the elevator is ascending or descending. And finally, Euros, you internalize one final thought here. Anyone down below will know that you're coming. When you're leaving, anyone up top will know that you're arriving soon.
I will quickly convey this.
The elevator starts to descend slowly.
As soon as it starts descending, Todrick goes, ugh, and he falls and he grabs Euros by the shoulder and he goes, gotcha.
Thank you. I was a
No
little light
problem.
on my feet there.
The walls of the lift seem to go dangerously close to the excavated shaft of the elevator. And I'm sorry, you were saying?
I was just saying, that map is extremely evocative. I like it.
Right?
You are riding this elevator downward. Thank you. I will tell my map wizard about that. The elevator is slowly descending into Toril. The faint humming sound up above gets fainter.
What's that rust-colored, there's like rust coloring on the wall. Is that, does that stand out? Is it distinct?
It's distinct to you. You're not sure what the significance is, but you observe as this platform goes past rock after rock, foot after foot, you notice that you are going through different striations of minerals, and you wonder perhaps if what you're passing might be some of the valuable things that the miners were sent here to get.
Is it possible to roll nature or something like that to try and identify some minerals? Because the elevator is so slow that clearly we need some entertainment.
Gastmere, you do your best to entertain yourself by playing Rock Identifier. Go ahead and roll nature.
Stick a finger on the wall a bit and then can't lick it.
Oh.
Well, she did used to eat paint, so
22.
Do you say 22?
Yep. 16 plus 6.
Gastmere, the historian Jan Clef noted that Cormier's history was defined by stone. The thick granite bedrock in the southeast demands large municipal wells and thus cities that cluster around them. In northern Cormier, where you are, the limestone bedrock is softer, and it gives way to many small wells, giving rise to estates and the landed elite rather than cities. Much of the regional politics here flows from this, granite versus limestone.
Granite and limestone. Unsurprising. Building blocks of civility.
And yet, there is no civility to be had down here.
And she's cramped into a corner between all these other people, so she's kind of like standing up a bit taller as well. Like she feels the need to posture a bit if people are too close.
Feeling a bit claustrophobic.
It's potentially more the people. It's kind of getting a bit too close. She doesn't seem to like that.
Not just proximity, but proximity to rabble. The elevator,
Smelly human bodies.
it does. It smells down here, crammed into this space, especially after riding all morning. You're assaulted by the sense of humanity. Body odor, sweat. The air here is at best stale. The lift continues to descend.
Long way down, let's see. Can we gauge roughly how quickly this thing is traveling at a clip?
Roll intelligence.
Nine.
You think perhaps a few feet a second, but you have no idea what that means in the greater sense. Looking up into the shaft, it's now dark where you originated from. You can't even see the platform that you started at.
Taldred is starting to get antsy, and he's thinking about, you know, all kinds of scenarios at the bottom of this lift, and he's breathing a little bit heavier, and he's like, so Yoros, well, what can you do in a fight?
My best.
It's a good answer. Brenner will stand up at this point, not anticipating that we're going to slam into the bottom.
You slam into something. One moment. Oops. You slam into 4 feet of gray, milky water. Who is under 5'6"?
Ada.
Ada and nothing gold. Instantly, the water is over your waist. Your reflexes cannot be contained. Do you know what the gasp reflex is?
Yes.
Cold water makes you go, you can't stop it. Your terse gasps echo through the chamber. You arrive in some type of service antechamber. Everything is wet. There are 4 feet of gray, milky water here. It sloshes as the elevator stops where you arrive. There are documents foaming in the corner of the room. There is a mix of silt and off-gray foam building up in the corners of this room. There's a large water tank here.
As soon as they hit that water, Taldred's gonna go, oh, god damn it!
It soaks you up to the waist and then some. And this is not clear water.
Brenner also lets out an audible groan.
Brent,
Yes, we know why they left.
Brenner, roll survival. Taldred, roll investigation.
8.
10.
With your 8 on survival, everything below your waist chills to the bone. With your investigation at a 10, there are a number of important mechanisms. Something that works with that water tank is all over the ground. You don't know what it is, but it's brass and shiny. It's hard to pay any attention with the water everywhere. It sloshes into your armor.
Yeah, my socks are wet.
Your socks are deep underwater. It's disgusting. You have to hold yourself up a little bit to keep yourself out of the cold water.
Taldred says, we need to find somewhere drier and warmer.
Do I?
Yeah.
Do I still have the torch lit for all intents and purposes?
You do. Unless you purposely went into the water. Yes,
No.
you can see around the room. It casts irregular shadows here.
We see into the chamber to our right.
You can. You are functionally part of the same chamber. There's just a rock overhang that forms a bit of an entryway. You can see an area where the water is a bit more shallow, where there is a slight embankment in the middle of the room. There is a large brass tank in the corner, and all manner of things floating here in the water.
Taldred makes a beeline for that high ground.
It's not much higher. The water is still about a foot deep here. It comes up to just below your knees.
For all intents and purposes, could I use control flame on my torch to up the flame to produce more light and presumably more heat, so people aren't as cold in the water?
You could amplify the flame on your torch, but it would not be capable of heating this entire mass of water. If you're in this water, even ankle deep, it's going to chill you to the bone. It's going to get you very cold very quickly.
Yeah, I was going off more of just the, like, if you're within the proximity, you can just kind of feel the warmth in it.
You can certainly do that. At the very least, it'll add, I would imagine, much psychological warmth down here for you and your party.
I will do that then.
This is going to be a serious problem if we leave.
Yeah, do I think there's going to be a risk to the lift mechanism if we just leave it in the water?
You see not much of an alternative. Thankfully, the moving parts seem to be suspended just out of the water. Everything in the brass controls is just out of the water.
And the water itself doesn't seem to be rising any further. It's very still, except for people wading through it.
In every vulnerable moment, Nothing Gold, you see slight disturbances in the water, and you imagine that it is filling the room. However, after several moments of this and several near panic attacks, from what it seems, the water's not moving except for, as you said, people wading through it.
We gotta get out of here.
Yeah.
We came to do something. Let's do it. I'm going to follow the train track.
I was gonna ask about that. Can we see it as clearly as we can on the map?
You can see it as clearly as you can on the map. You can see that the water here is a bit milky. It's a gray color.
Imagine it's just because it's mixed with dust or something.
On the southeastern side of this room, past the water tank, you can see that this goes under a narrow overhang. When the water wasn't here, certainly you could just walk down through this. It would be a little more than a divot. However, water has collected in this opening, and it is completely opaque.
So, if we want to go through there, do we have to submerge all the way?
From what you can tell, Taldred, the only way through would be what you assume is a brief swim.
Why would I assume that, though?
Does anybody have a bucket?
You hope that, Taldred.
It's more like it. What? A bucket for what?
Scoop the water out, of course. Come on now.
Taldred's like shivering. Scoop the... What? I mean... You might as well scoop the ocean.
I will go. I'll just hand you the torch.
I will hand Euros my staff.
Wow.
Does this operate from a distance?
It'll glow.
Alright.
Who did you hand the torch to?
You.
I was getting ready to say, because Taldred would probably grab it because it's warm.
Yeah,
He's
exactly.
like, I'll wash it.
You have an intense torch in your hand. It is very cold down here.
I've dealt with worse.
Don't drown.
Euros, if you need us, yell or do something loud. We'll come and get you.
Sure. Give me 1 second. I will go in.
Do you submerge your head in the water?
Not yet. I will kind of take a look at it and just kind of gauge the depth and everything around the hole.
From standing close, it's not opaque, merely diffusing. You can see a little bit of what's on the other side of this. It looks like a short swim, probably 4 or 5 feet under this overhang. There's just not much of a way of doing it without getting completely wet.
And I hold the torch or the lamp staff underwater, and kind of have that illuminate underwater, and to get a better gauge of the distance.
You can see the bottom of this water is thick and silty, almost like a mud. You get a better look at the distance. It's probably only 5 feet through this milky, strange smelling water.
Okay. It doesn't seem to be far. I will take a look.
Godspeed.
Can
I
we
will I
hear
will
that?
let you know.
I think you can. Yes, it's. I mean, this room. In fact, your voices echo in this room.
Okay. And I will hold the staff in front of me, and I will go under. And swim.
Go ahead and move yourself 2 squares to the southeast. The water burns a little bit. You get through it. You wipe it off yourself. It sticks to your skin a bit. It's very silty and heavy, almost muddy. Roll medicine.
Never heard of it. Yeah, never heard of it.
You're feeling yourself, and you seem to be in okay shape, but you hear something else that you're not sure how to interpret. A wet, deathly cough coming from down the chamber. You get a sense of how dark it is over here, Yoros. Other than your staff light, you can't see a thing. As you adjust to being just a little bit dry, you realize how bad it smells. It reminds you of an abattoir.
I'll carry on anyway.
You do so. You can trudge through this water, should you see fit.
Yes.
The rest of this party, you see Euros disappear. You can sense the halo of your light getting farther and farther away.
Give it a moment, and then Gasmir is going to follow, because she reasons that they're going to have to do this eventually anyways. So she's basically just waiting to hear, like, it's an immediate death scream, and then...
So, I imagine I've made it to the other side.
You have.
Okay, once I get above air, I will immediately contact Ada with message cantrip.
Okay.
What's the message?
I will simply just quickly explain that heavy silt, weird smell, cloudy, heard cough on the other side.
I'm gonna grab Gasmir's shoulder if she hasn't gone yet.
I think
Okay.
this is all. That's what I was about to get to. So I think, Gatsby, you are preparing yourself for this, and you feel a hand on your shoulder, but you have the action.
Euros
Yes.
just sent me a message that there's some people on the other side. He heard coughing, but much of the same that we see in here otherwise.
Oh, we should follow, should we not?
I think he'll send me a message. There's no reason to submerge everybody on this cold winter day.
What if it's
We
dry over there?
expect trouble, do we not?
He said it's not dry. Do we expect trouble? Good question. Well, I've given you the information I have. Feel free to make your own decision.
The
By
action.
morning.
Well,
We need to be back by morning. And it is cold. Being fully drenched is a really quick way to die of exposure.
I want to circle back to we sort of interrupted this mid-action with Gasmir. So you were counseled briefly by Ada, but You still have, if you're going underneath, you're going underneath. The action is with you. I don't want to move on before we resolve this.
Well, it would appear that there must be a reason to why these miners haven't simply made it through that on their own if it was so simple for our teammate.
I will shrug.
I'll go have a look as well. Best
Right.
that he has someone with him.
Before you go, are you wearing anything I can look at very quickly? A necklace, a ring.
I'm wearing what you see. She's wearing finery. She does have a ring on one of her fingers.
Nothing
has-
gold will take something that appears to be a little like gel and swipe it across the ring, and then when her hand leaves it, it's glowing with a 5-foot radius light.
Why, thank you.
Don't go wandering into the dark.
We're all wandering in the dark. It's too late for that. She'll go after Yoros. She'll take a deep breath before she submerges and doesn't breathe underwater. That would be bad.
You take a deep breath and are careful not to inhale whatever horrible is in the water here. You arrive, not so much worse for wear, but certainly chilled significantly and now soaking wet, a few paces behind Yoros. The cave.
Several fashion points.
You feel significantly less fashionable, and you hope that this did not undo your flourish on the horse this morning to your companions. The first thing you notice is the smell. It smells horrible in here. It's difficult to even quantify what it is that you're taking into your lungs. And on that thought, shall we take a 5-minute break? I think it's about that time. Let's take our 5-minute break. Sounds good?
Sounds good.
Okay. Hey,
Hello.
Hello.
so how's everyone doing?
Pretty good.
Good. Ready for the party to experience the wonders of exposure.
It's the other dog.
The other creature.
Is that your favorite?
Is it a poodle mix?
It's an actual poodle.
Oh,
I
that's-
like actual poodles, not the mixes. The mixes usually have like some behavioral issues sometimes.
I grew up with standard poodles. My parents always had standard poodles. I love them. They're such good dogs. They're so smart.
They are really good dogs, and they're so easily biddable as well. Like, they love people and they love doing things for people, so they're very easy to train. They don't shed. That is the reason I got these in the first place. She's lying me. She wants to sleep as well.
That one's Buffy.
Buffy, yes. Countess of Buffonia.
Dave just got, or all the cat people know about Dave's new cats, right? There's
Oh no.
there's been a cat show off.
Cats?
I got
want to
2
see
new
the
cats. They're still cowering. They're only like a month in the house, and we got them from the kill shelter, and they're not personable. Yeah, I've spent their whole lives in a cage, so they're still scared of me and my
Aw.
wife. So they're currently hiding under a bed and have been all day.
Oh,
Bacon and Erdish.
That's cute.
Bacon.
What's
Let
their
me know if
coloration?
you see any corgis up for adoption around you.
Around me?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm willing to drive up to 200 miles for a dog.
Okay.
Always willing to drive for a dog.
It's also an excuse to come visit you.
Yeah. Sounds good. I'll keep my eye out.
I've been meaning to do it for a while.
Here they are, hiding in their cat bed.
Everybody here and situated, more or less. Okay.
Yes.
We find ourselves again, Gasmir and Euros on the far side, the rest of the party on the near side. Here, deep under northern Cormyr, you're not sure exactly what time it is, or precisely where you are, or how deep in the earth you are. Gasmir and Euros, you both hear this concerning cough coming from down the chamber. It echoes. It sounds wet and productive.
Doesn't sound good.
Really doesn't.
Here, I'll hand you the staff. Hold it low, and I'm going to scout ahead very quickly. And so as I step forward and go more into the shadow, I will go invisible.
I'll kind of... Gasmir's got like a long coattail kind of situation going, so she kind of puts that over the stuff for a bit.
A long coattail situation, you said? So you're using your coattails to...
Just try to smother the light a little bit so it's not quite as bright.
Got it. And Euros, you are creeping stealthily forward, it sounds like, while after casting the invisibility spell.
It's not an invisibility spell. It is the pact bonus one with shadow. So as long as I'm in dim or darkness, I am invisible.
It is extremely dark in here. There is no source of light except what you brought with you.
It's fine. I can see pretty well in the dark too, so I can at least do some mediocre scouting.
You can gaze into what seems to be a small mining gallery here. It's hard to see beyond a downed mining cart and some piles of rubble, but you're pretty sure you see something human-like in that chamber. Nothing seems to be moving very much, if at all.
Okay, I will once again point in the direction of Ada, and then I will send another message.
What's the message?
I think I found humanoids. No light. Very quiet besides coughing.
I'll announce to the group. He's found them, we think.
Are they dry?
This is a one-way street. Unfortunately, I cannot tell you.
Does this passageway look like I can maneuver through it, or is it collapsed?
You can maneuver through it. In fact,
Okay.
you could get a minecart through it if you had to.
Is there light on the other side at all?
None at all. Total blackness.
Okay, in that case, I will creep in.
It smells awful in here. Roll perception.
15.
You can identify 3 distinct smells. 2 of them are human waste. The third is rotting flesh.
Do I see any people?
You see what could be supine figures. It's hard to tell without getting very close or having a better light source.
Okay.
The figures are prostrate on the ground. Prostrate on the ground. Thanks.
Okay. I will make my way back towards Gasimir. I will send one more quick message, and I'll explain that would I have seen 3 at least silhouettes of what I presume are people, or
That's right. Yes, you saw 4 silhouettes. The fourth one didn't necessarily look human though. It just looked like crumpled something, but it was near them. But you saw
Okay.
3 things that looked like a person or something close to it, but you didn't really hear much except for maybe low breathing, perhaps. It's hard to
Okay.
even tell.
in that case, I will come back up to Gasimir, and once I start stepping towards in the light, I will be revealed, and I will simply whisper to her, "Do not speak of this."
Let's speak of this.
And then I will send another message to Ada. Of me turning invisible is what I don't want her to speak of.
I was about to ask. Thank you.
Yeah, I will add further contextualization and specifically say what I just did.
Hasn't arches an eyebrow, but doesn't argue. Doesn't agree either, though. Not in the moment.
You are careful to avoid agreeing to a pact. What's the message that you send to Ada, Euros?
Saw 4 silhouettes, 3 humanoid, strong smell, rotting flesh, feces.
Sounds like one of them's dead, at least. And they're sitting in a room with their own excrement. I would guess non-threatening.
When Taldred hears that, he's going to start moving forward.
Since presumably Gasmir hasn't heard any of this but this is like visible spell casting, though. Does message have
Yes,
components?
that is a excellent question. I would, and Ian, perhaps you and me we can combine something together here. When Euros cast message, I sort of imagine it's almost like going like this or something like that. You're sort of pointing in the direction.
Yes, you point. And whenever that happens, you'll just see like a very faint, like dark mist. Kind of like just wrap around his finger.
Are you doing something in particular here? Did you see something?
I will convey the same thing that I just sent to Ada in a message.
Concerning.
Taldred will hand the torch to Brenner,
I'll hold it alone.
and then he's going to make his way through the water.
Taldred, you only have one truly exigent concern: getting your hair wet.
Oh, God.
Do you proceed?
Has he at this point run out of hair gel?
He's gotta. He's going in.
Despite your many mental impediments here, you swim underneath the roughly 5 feet of cloudy water. You arrive by the left shin of Gastmere, and you sense that you are arriving at the tail end of a conversation between Gastmere and Yoros. You're soaking wet. This water smells very strange.
So, I have to imagine that moving through water in plate armor is incredibly difficult. And so, Taldred, like, emerges just completely, like he had to hold his breath, and he's putting in a lot of effort. And so, as soon as he's surfacing, he's taking, like, a huge breath. And that smell hits him. And Taldred has a very fragile sense of smell. And, like, I imagine he just, like, stops mid-breath. And then he just vomits.
You can't even convert this into a dry heave. The smell is that bad. You vomit and call out, and you hear something. The sound of your disturbance seems to have aroused some suspicion in the next room as you hear a voice croak. Hey!
Taldred is... he wants to respond, but he's still...
The person calls out desperately with barely a voice to have.
Taldred says, hello?
You hear somebody breathing very heavily. You get the impression that they probably exerted themselves as much as they possibly could with just the hay.
Taldred looks to Yoros, and he's like... he's still getting himself, but he looks to Yoros and he says... He like points towards where the tracks are headed.
Yeah, and I will nod.
All right, Taldred makes his way forward with the light.
With the light in your hand, you observe something about this chamber just before you exit it. It loops back and goes farther down into the cave to the east of where you started. Do you see that?
Yes.
And you have your light source, which is your symbol of Selune, in hand.
Correct.
You take your move.
I'm standing at the threshold now. I'm just looking into the room.
You look into the room. You see something stirring in there. You wonder if this was what called out hey to you. There's 3 figures on the ground and a 4th something. A pile of limbs, perhaps, you hope?
Uh-huh.
The figures are barely moving. It smells awful in here.
Taldred will retch again, but nothing comes out.
This time, you do dry heave, but out of necessity rather than preference. As you move, your torch moves, and you get a sense of what the ruined mass is. That was once a mule.
Okay. Oh. All right. Well, that's actually much worse than I was anticipating. Taldred makes his way closer.
You can see 3 figures here. One, the close one to you, is not moving and is face down. All 3 have been chained to this mining cart. There are chains going from their ankle to the ruined back axle of this mining cart. There is evidence that they tried to break the chains with rocks to no avail. They are all wearing similar attire that is not quite a uniform, dark blue canvas and denim that would stand up well to abrasion. You can see that someone was hacking the dead mule before it started to putrefy.
Taldred's... Okay, go ahead.
The figure in the middle, a slight figure with pointed ears, looks up at you, and she calls out again, "Water!" Her voice is cracking at the absolute best. She sounds and looks quite horrible.
Okay, so Taldred rushes to the middle, and he says, "How long have you people been down here?" And then I have to check something. Excellent. Yeah, he's gonna cast Create Food and Water.
You cast Create Food and Water. Roll medicine twice for two different things.
Absolutely. $19 and $11.
19. She coughs right in your face. You know that cough. It's jail fever. It spreads rapidly via lice, quickly overwhelming malnourished or immunocompromised hosts.
Okay.
For your second medicine check, you summon the food and water. You have one brief moment of hesitation. You remember something from your training 20 years ago now that it can be dangerous to suddenly refeed people who are starving.
Okay.
However,
provide the water first, then yeah.
you do so. The woman takes it from your hands and starts gulping it down. On the other side of the obstacle to the north, it's been quiet for a while. Ada, Nothing Gold, Brenner.
I'm going to impatiently tap on my cloak, thumb my spell book,
You do
fiddle
so.
with my hair.
You're still standing in shin-deep water, and this chamber is very cold.
Brenner seems equally discomforted by the. There's a giant tank next to us, correct?
There is.
Brenner will tap on it. Does it seem to have anything inside, or is it like a hollow ring?
You tap on it. It seems hollow, like there's nothing inside. The water tank has a mechanism on it that you could investigate should you see fit.
Brenner will call for Ada to look at it for us. I'm not familiar with how these things work.
I'll take a look. I
Roll.
don't have a lot of expertise in engineering, but I am a fast learner.
Roll investigation.
27.
You discern several things about the water tank. You transcend your own expectations for the understanding of an engineering object, by the way. You are a fast learner, aren't you? A number of important mechanisms related to this valve apparatus seem bent and useless on the floor of the cave below it. There's a pressure valve on this water tank. It connects to a pipe leading to the tank. The valve itself seems cracked. There is a small glass gauge here. It reads AER, probably just the manufacturer. There are no units on the gauge, but it's indexed at 1. The gauge itself is broken. The needle was left at 2.7. The pump seems to be driven by a belt. The belt is intact, but the belt is connected to something that's sitting in 3 feet of dirty water. Finally, you note that 2.7 is in the red demarcation of this gauge.
I think this device was meant to pump water out of this chamber so they could mine in here. For some reason or another, it got too much pressure and ruptured, thus flooding the chamber.
That's how you feel about it.
Feel. There's nothing feeling about it. I'm merely looking.
It was probably damaged on purpose, no?
Clogged.
It could have been. I have never operated one of these devices. They can explode from the inside when too much material is inside of them.
Didn't sound like it was the case. Is there anything you can spin that affects that needle that's pointing at the red zone?
I imagine that needle pointing at the red zone is why the pipe below it is ruptured.
The pipe below it is ruptured?
Yeah.
There's a large crack in the pipe that leads into the valve of this large water tank. It's hard to tell exactly what the point of failure is, because once this thing failed, it seems that there were multiple ways in which it catastrophically impacted its ability to do what it was supposed to.
If this is sabotage, I think there are more efficient ways to do it.
checking in on your compatriots on the other side of the wall. Yoros, still by the water?
Yes, I was stepping up to send another message.
Go ahead.
Sending one more to Ada.
Ada.
Whatever.
I do it too.
Taldred went ahead. Sounds like he is helping the people.
It appears Taldred's still a cleric. He's trying to heal the people who are wounded.
They're wounded.
They've
That's
been
what
down
it
here-
sounds like.
they've been down here for at least 2 weeks, probably.
Okay.
I will follow up in the message, and I will simply state, if you focus and whisper, you can respond to me.
Okay. I will stop mid-syllable and focus and whisper, and I will say, "Are we needed?"
Not yet, but I don't think we're going to be able to get through this water.
So, there is an issue. We need to extract these miners. I don't think they're in any shape to swim. We need to clear this railway of water if we can.
You survey the task that you have set before yourself, Ada. There is a good amount of water in this chamber, and the water seems to be contaminated by something, perhaps just silt or some type of mining material. It would be possible, you presume, to move this water somewhere or somehow extract it from this chamber. But you don't see an obvious one. You feel like if the water wasn't there, though, you would have a trivial time extracting the miners, and it might even guarantee that the lift is even able to get off the ground.
We can cut back to the other folks, but I have stupid ideas.
We cut back to the other folks. Taldred, you are administering medicine. Gasmir, you are looking on, feeling something perhaps?
Disgust for the stench.
You feel a sense of disgust. How strong is your stomach?
Probably fairly strong. She puts up with a lot, in her opinion.
You reckon that you have strong intestinal fortitude, and it seems to hold up. You keep it down, for now. This chamber is rather oppressively stenchy, though.
Are they
The
alive?
I'm working on it.
Taldred,
Come on. Keep working on it. Yasmir's gonna step outside.
you slip out of the room. Taldred, you have 3 bodies of various condition in front of you. One, the elven female, is gulping down the water right now, soothing her cracked throat. One of the bodies is not moving whatsoever, but you see that they're still breathing. The other person is lying supine and has not said a word, but appears to be conscious. You can see his eyes following you.
Okay. Let's start with the guy who's just barely breathing.
Roll medicine.
That's actually dirty 20.
Malnutrition, maybe exposure from being down here for so long, but he's basically intact. You feel around his limbs, everything seems to work. You snap in front of his face, he follows you. He might be unable to talk, barely able to eat, but he's alive.
Taldred will try to give him water.
You do so. He's barely able to drink it, but it does go down. His first words are, he croaks, "Get us out."
I'm working on it. So that was the guy below me.
Correct.
Okay, let's turn to the guy directly to my north then.
Roll medicine.
$19.
You feel like he's likely in a coma from malnutrition and other factors. He's alive, but just barely. There's not much there. His breathing is shallow and weak. Completely unconscious and unable to be roused.
I'll try Cure Wounds, level 1.
Go ahead. Roll the HP.
1 second, I gotta make sure I do this right.
The Seldarines smile on you, Taldred Talton.
$11.
You heal Ray Polani for 11 HP. You sense that what is going on with his physical form is not injuries necessarily. You sense that you probably helped him, perhaps in small and minor ways, stitching together pieces of his throat, helping smooth his cracked skin. But there's something deeply wrong there. Perhaps as you feel around in the darkness of the cave, you find something of his. The knife that it looks like he was using to hack pieces of that mule off.
Oh, what can you tell me about this knife?
It's covered in brown goop and a piece of fur.
So he was eating, well, they were all eating, like, raw, uncooked meat. Do I believe those two things are linked?
You have no way of confirming your inference here, but it makes sense given your experience.
Before I go blow on another spell slot, do I think that that this is a disease, I should say? Or is it perhaps food poisoning, for example?
You sense it is perhaps a mix of the jail fever that you've already assumed that all three are struck from, combined with food poisoning. As you try to look for a singular cause, it sets in that there's probably a number of medical conditions that are afflicting these people, and what little tools you have here would be difficult to long-term rehabilitate them with.
Well, that's true. I can at least stabilize them. Since he is in the worst shape, I am going to use... Let me make sure I know what spell it is. Where is it? Lesser Restoration, which is you touch a creature and you can end either one disease or one condition afflicting it, such as blinded, deaf, and paralyzed or poisoned.
Got it. You cast an, I'm sorry, not Ray Powell. You target Garrett McDale, who's unconscious,
Yes.
with lesser restoration. Sorry, the north-south earlier confused me. You restore some of his life, and he quivers back to a little bit of consciousness. He clears his throat into the rock and then curls up into the fetal position with a nasty cough. But he seems moving, at least up in some capacity.
Taldra tries to give him water.
He accepts it wordlessly. He rubs his eyes. You wonder how long it's been since he's seen light.
Taldra says, "Don't worry, we're going to get you out of here."
He murmurs something to himself. Words may be out of his grasp still. Let's go back to people on the other side of the water.
I would like to inspect the awning that is above the railway that goes underneath the water.
Instead of an awning, it's just rock that may have been too hard to immediately cut through. For whatever reason, the miners cut a dip here into the ground, and that dip has filled with water. It appears to be simply rock that extends horizontally.
I'm no miner, but if I were to destroy this rock, would the cave come crashing down on us? Do I think?
You think there is a non-zero possibility that major changes to this cave could have seismic consequences. And the first thing you realize is how fragile that elevator shaft must be to get out of here.
I'll mutter to myself, last resort, I guess.
Is there anything interesting among these papers here, the ones that aren't completely waterlogged?
You pick up fistfuls of papers. Everything here is waterlogged to some degree. You try to find something parsable, and you come up empty, nothing gold. There is nothing of value here. Everything washes into the corners of the room. Every time you move and wade through the water, it causes a small system of waves, and the papers form flotsam that is carried into every divot in the room. I'm sorry, go ahead. You were going to say.
No, I was just pondering the situation that we find ourselves in. So it seems like our only option is this machine here. If we can manipulate it into some order of operation.
Well, I'm certainly not qualified to operate this, but I will give my best attempt of repairing it.
Nothing gold. You ferment a thought. When faced with this obstacle, you look to this piece of machinery and you wonder if it could be your salvation. You consider this thought for a moment and you wonder if you've transgressed.
I guess we have to start with unburying the bits now.
That would be a good idea.
Brenner unshackles the shovel from his pack. You said that there was a belt buried, or at least parts that were clearly buried under like muddy water, right?
That's exactly right. There is a belt that disappears into the muddy silt.
He'll try to start to scoop gently off the top of the belt to see just how bad this thing is buried.
Quite badly, you're afraid. You can feel around in the water, and you feel what seems like a number of fragile, small mechanical parts. Certainly nothing that would stand up to whatever it's currently submerged in. Not even knowing what the direct purpose of this device is, you sense that it is beyond mundane repairs.
I don't think there's an option. This thing's in too deep. So you can apparate. Just looks around the room. A couple 100 gallons of water.
No, water manipulation is beyond me. I can do something with fire, but you can imagine that death by steam would not be the most pleasant way to go.
Right, so we're just gonna have to bring those poise through.
I could freeze the water.
Don't see how that helps.
Well, maybe if I lower the temperature of the water low enough, we could excavate the ice and find a way through that way.
That might prevent the lift from operating, would it not?
We would have to half lift the lift. That's a good thought. Thank you, Nothing Gold. I'm looking for better ideas.
Yeah, so this brings water up? Can we not... Are we sitting above a stream?
I imagine there's some underwater stream we're above the water level of right now. Below, rather.
Brenner looks completely out of his depth at this point.
I'm speaking directly to Nothing Gold. I also could raise the temperature of this room, but I fear that would be a worse outcome for everyone in here and over there. I also have the last-ditch option of punching a hole through that rock over there, but I imagine there's a reason why they went under it.
Well, it's between punching a hole through ice and us just dragging them through the water.
There's always more options. Let's sit and think a little bit.
You ponder the expression you just used. There's nowhere to sit in this room that wouldn't put you into a horrible situation with a wet butt. It is extremely inhospitable everywhere you look here. You suppose you could lean against the water tank. On the other side of the water, Taldred, all three of the miners are trying to send you the same message. They're having trouble speaking, articulating themselves, but they all shake their ankles at you, showing you that they're chained to this mining cart.
Taldred calls out for Yoros.
I will head over there. I presume I heard him because of the echo.
Voices carry very quickly in this chamber. Gastmere, roll insight.
That's a solid 15.
Nothing like people yelling in an enclosed space to get lots of unwanted attention.
Exactly what she was thinking. She's standing guard in a way. But at the same time, she's kind of looking... She's not actually like looking around very intently, so in that sense, she's a terrible guard, but she looks very impressive while she's doing it.
You strive for form over function.
Yes.
Euros, you arrive where Taldred is attempting to provide some form of succor to these 3 miners in various states of disrepair.
Yeah, as he walks over, Taldred. So I didn't flavor this, but Taldred's create food and water is like for the food, it's like nuts and like roots, stuff like that. And he's handing just a little bit of nuts to each one. He gets eat just a little bit.
You act with great care and discretion to carefully refeed them. They all accept your offering of magical fruit and nuts. It may be the first thing that they've eaten in quite some time, and they all wolf it down very quickly. The elf, Legion, looks at you with a concerned gaze. She asks you, still with a broken voice, "What are you going to do with us? Can you get us out?"
We were sent to get you out of here. And he thinks for a second. He goes, but I was told there was 4 of you. He checks the note. And he goes, I'm here for Lazy and Esther, Garrett McDale, Ray Powell, and Alex Dannel. Who's missing?
The 3 of them look between each other. One moment. Roll perception.
$15.
Legion says, "She's dead." She's lying.
How'd you die?
She coughs and looks away. A cave-in. Just
Where?
get us out. Why does it matter? Take 3 of us out. Let's
Because
go. Let's go right now.
I'm here to save 4. We are going to get you out of here, okay? You're going to be fine. He looks over to Euros. He goes, so explain the chain deal to me.
Each of them has a handcuff going from their ankle to the axle of this mining cart. It lets each of them move perhaps 5 feet away from where their ankle is chained, as the handcuff can slide up and down the axle, but it keeps them from moving anywhere, really. The mining cart is massive and on its side, and the wheel is far too large and unwieldy to get off with your hands.
Right, so he turns to Euros. He goes, Euros, I need you to... Who cuffed you to this mining cart? He looks back to the miners.
There is a long silence. One of them, Garrett, coughs. None of them wants to say anything. Legion looks terrified. She says, "Can we please just go?"
I will leave you down here. Who cuffed you to this cart?
When you say we'd leave you down here, Ray, who hasn't said anything yet, starts to weep in the darkness.
Taldred looks to the other 2.
I hear the sound of crying.
You do. You hear the sound of crying.
What in the world are you two doing in there?
Working. Try it sometime.
Oh, it rather sounds like you're making a man cry instead, which is an achievement. I'd admire that in court, but at this time,
It's a woman and you're being real insensitive right now.
can't quite tell from a distance.
By having a shred of humanity.
Well, we need to get these cuffs off of them.
Yoros, can you do anything about that?
How thick are the chains? Just standard?
Nothing particularly out of the ordinary. Nothing that you could break with your hands. But yes, it's a steel chain, perhaps a quarter of an inch thick. As you examine it, all three of them show you how tight it is on their ankles. You see that Legian's ankle has been rubbed raw by trying to get away from this thing. I'm sorry, Told you were saying.
He's gonna say, can you break the axle?
I can certainly try. I'll quickly look around the room to see if I can find, like, anything I can use as leverage to kind of snap it open.
There's 2 well-made mining picks. There's a shovel. If these things help you in any way.
I will grab the mining pick.
You have a mining pick, but don't feel like much of a miner.
So I will take the mining pick, and the part where the cuff like connects to the chain on their leg, I will put the one tip of the hook of the mining pick into it for leverage, put it on the ground, and then I will like push my foot down on the other side to like kind of snap it off with pressure, like a.
I understand. Yes. You're like using the mining pick as like a wedge to like snap
Yes,
open the chain.
Yeah, exactly.
Roll dexterity at advantage. Actually, no. Roll strength and dexterity. We'll take whichever one's higher. Sort of a multidisciplinary advantage.
You said at advantage.
Just strength. Imagine like a multidisciplinary advantage. You roll strength and dexterity. We'll take whichever one's higher.
Mine strength 8 dexterity.
You are having a hard time focusing here in the dark. You step down and the chain slips out from underneath you. One quick question. Who are you attempting to free first?
I'm right beside
Garrett.
Garrett, so I guess him first.
You are insofar unsuccessful. On the other side of the water, anyone getting tired of being in this flooded room?
Very.
Does your patience run dry?
I like to problem solve.
Where is the water coming in from?
An excellent question. Roll intelligence.
21.
Perhaps you were examining this problem backwards. Perhaps the water was brought in here, perhaps the water was not here naturally occurring and they had to get it out. Perhaps the water was brought down here for some other purpose.
She will vocalize this to the group and suggest that perhaps they're not actually standing in the middle of a naturally occurring creek in the middle of a mountain.
Well, that's an interesting theory. Maybe this tank was sent to dole out water so they could run their machinery.
I
wonder
see
why-
how that helps us at this moment.
Well, Brenner, we're trying to problem solve. If you have a better way to attack this problem, I would listen. Maybe on the other side, there's a way to redivert the water.
I gotta take a look. He walks over to whichever one has the most open hands at this point and holds out the torch.
It's me. I'll grab it. I'm grabby.
Yeah, Ada's taller, so.
Seeing 4 hands towards you, you shove it in Ada's hand. You now exist with open hands, Brenner.
He flashes the shovel back on his backpack and makes his way towards the mouth of this opening.
You wade into chest-deep water.
Takes a deep breath, dives in.
You do so.
Not literally dives.
It's tough to navigate. Swimming underwater in armor is far less than comfortable, but you arrive on the other side. It's not very deep, and any able-bodied person should be able to navigate this obstacle, you conclude. However, you're now soaking wet. There is a sense that the water, you feel like it might be basic in some way. You brush it off your skin, and it has a faint burning effect on everywhere that the water touched. Arriving on the other side, you see Gastmere casting the parts of a perfect Imperial guard. She looks like she's guarding something extremely important and doing it quite well.
Trying to keep composed to the awful smell, he'll make his way over. You seen any other machinery in here?
Not so far. Glad you could join us, Mr. Oswick.
Prefer not to get wet. Are they in there? He'll nod towards the opening you're clearly guarding.
The others are attempting to do something for the 3 people that we've found in poor condition.
How do they look?
You tell me.
Brenner will shrug and make his way inside.
Brenner, roll insight.
6.
You conclude that the cave is dark.
Actually, I think Gasmir still has Ada's stuff. I don't think she ever gave it back to,
You do. You are holding the staff of a wizard. The tip of it glows with a golden light.
Ivy.
It's hard not to play with it. It is a rather interesting, arcane curiosity. Brenner,
Just trying to make his way towards the nearest light source.
things don't look so good in here.
As Taldred sees Brenner approach, he goes, "Oh, thank God. Brenner, get over here."
Brenner will join Taldred's beckon. What do you need?
They're chained to this cart. I would like to get the wheel off of the cart so we can slide the chains off.
Alright. How does this wheel attach?
It appears to be mounted to the axle, like that was its function. It's hard to tell exactly what's on there. Oh, sorry, exactly what holds it on there. Perhaps some type of bearing mechanism. You're not a mechanic.
He definitely isn't. He'll try to wrench it off.
With your raw
And-
strength.
Yep.
Taldred would assist in this if he could.
Okay, both of you roll strength.
9.
10.
You pull and pull and pull on this heavy, thick, durable iron wheel. It doesn't budge.
Taldred goes, "Fuck," and he kicks the cart.
You do so. You're lucky you didn't hurt your foot. You imagine a world where, had you broken your ankle here, you wonder if this mine could have been your tomb.
Are you quite alright in there, gentlemen, or...
Yep.
Gaspir,
work.
things don't sound quite all right. You hear the sound of clanking, people saying, fuck, people swearing, and perpetually there is a nasty, wet cough that doesn't seem to stop.
Smells like dead donkey and inefficient, so Gasmir's gonna turn around and head over to see what the fuck is taking so long.
Nothing good is going on in here.
I see.
How about on the other side of the water? Ada and Nothing Gold spending some quality time together.
Well, I don't think we can put all the water back in that device.
No.
I wonder if we could redivert it. I would prefer not to turn a cold situation even colder. Do you have any other ideas?
I don't. I just don't know where we would put the water instead.
I'm going to use the torch and walk around the perimeter of this room. I'm going to include the room with the lift and try and see if I can determine if there's a lower position, another mine shaft, somewhere that I can punch the water through.
You examine to see, is there somewhere, if you punched out the wall, that the water would go there. You feel around, imagining that there must be mine shafts running parallel to this one under the earth. It's impossible to judge. As far as you can tell, each of these walls is solid rock. You see no obvious way to determine where on the other side of the wall there could be anything. And you still maintain the same lingering doubts that doing anything percussive down here is a good idea.
I'm going to send a message to Euros. Can you drain the water there?
Euros, in the midst of hacking coughs and the battle to get the axle wheel off, you receive a message.
I will simply stop with the pickaxe and I will look around. Do I see any way to move water in this room?
You look for ways to move things. You see a ruined mining cart. You see a mule that's been dead perhaps a week. You see a track that leads nowhere. You do your best not to form metaphors in your head.
I will respond with, no, I do not see anything. Simply a cave.
No help from the other side.
Have they explored everything over there?
I doubt it. Sounds like they are busy saving the frail.
Alright, well, maybe it would be worth scouting a little bit, and I don't. Well, honestly, I'm saying this because I cannot stand another second in this water. I cannot feel my feet anymore.
Nothing Gold, you have a thought for a second. It's very hard to keep track of time down here in total darkness with no frame of reference to what's happening outside. You wonder how long it's been since you've been down in this water. You wonder if hypothermia could be setting in and you're not even aware. Can you feel your toes?
Normally, I find being underground very comforting.
Something about this is different.
Alright, well, I was trying to avoid leaving the lift, but I do not think that there's a way for somebody up there to call it without our being on it. So, why don't we go take a look?
At the lift. Okay.
No, not at the lift. We'll go in and see what's on the other side.
You want me to
This
submerge
tunnel.
in that water?
I think we're all going to have to eventually.
I have a way to stay warm, do you?
Metaphorically, yes.
Do metaphors keep you alive?
Don't one of you guys have the torch?
It's
Yeah, we're gonna have to submerge underwater. I assume it's gonna go out. Okay. Okay. Let's go then. And I will attempt to dig the torch into a stable part of the ground.
Go ahead and ping for me where you leave that torch.
This looks like a high spot. Looks like there's less water here.
You can wedge it between one of the planks that holds the train tracks stable and a rock. And the tip of the flame is perhaps 2 inches above the water, just barely out of reach of the water.
Good enough. All right. Nothing gold. After you.
Why don't you go first?
I'll look back for 1 second before I take the dive, and I'll remind you, this was your idea. And I'll plunge through before she can say something.
Ada, you get the last word. And then you dive underneath this shallow water. You know a little bit of something about this. Is it basic for some reason? It smells and feels like lye. It has this beating effect on your skin, and when you get out of it, your skin burns a little bit. You're covered in water, head to toe. One of the first things that comes to your mind is, I hope I don't get an ear infection.
If I come out the other end, can I tell what material I smell? I'm suspecting sulfur.
You, after emerging on this side, you take a deep breath. The only thing you could smell is putrefaction. You do your best to expel it from your lungs, and you take another deep breath. This time you get human excrement. The air in here is just horrible.
I'll put my cloak over my hand and pass priority.
You do so. Nothing gold. You feel a sense of solitude. Does this bring you peace or anxiety?
Peace. I think as soon as she feels she's alone in the room, she will summon her wildfire spirit to take up sentry on top of the metal contraption.
You do so. I don't have a token yet, but we can together imagine that your wildfire spirit is a sentry on top of the water tank. Describe it. What does it look like?
So it just looks like this flickering flame that's sort of ambiguously star-shaped, always in motion. Again, it's very hard to get a solid feel for its silhouette. It looks almost like lightning arcing through the sky. It sort of almost hurts to look at it for too long.
Formless and energetic.
And she speaks to it for a moment in Sylvan, sort of reassuring it before she turns and will go to follow Ada through the tunnel.
It's good to know that the Seldrians smile on you, even down here. For you, more than anyone here, this water is very deep. It requires quite the effort to get underneath. Nothing gold. You're so short. Roll Constitution saving throw.
I'll add 4 to that, so it's 12.
You barely escape the other side without having to take a horrible breath of this water into your lungs. You emerge next to Ada, who seems to be sniffing the air. You do it too and get a sense of how horrible this is. Something just smells putrid over here. It's awful. It's unspeakably smelly. Ada rushes to put her cloak over her face. You hear murmuring down the hallway. With your excellent low-light vision, you can see that there are 2 branches here. There's a leftward branch following the mining tracks that leads to where you hear the murmuring from, and a right track. A right pathway. It's dry over there, and there is a rise in a small south chamber before a smaller pathway goes downward to your east.
I assume everybody's near where those voices are. Should we check in on them? There's this other path that I would love to check out, but I think we should get your staff back from Gastamere first.
Very well. I'm going to wring the water out of my hair, clothes, and specifically my spell book, if I can. I imagine it doesn't get wet, but I just want to make sure.
You shiver and check your spellbook. Something you've noticed many times throughout your travels. Your spellbook will not burn, it will not mold, it will not blank when placed in the water. Once again, you are blessed with durability.
I'll walk in and survey the scene.
You survey the scene. There are a variety of operations going on here. There are 3 miners. 2 of them are lying on their sides. You can smell, must I say it again, it assails your lungs. You see an operation to attempt to get one of the wheels off of the axle on the mining cart that is holding these 3 miners to the ground. All 3 of them appear to be in various states of pain and mental fog. As you come in, the middle miner, Lasian, is starting to seem overwhelmed. Ray is still weeping, perhaps considering Taldred's words that he may in fact leave him down here.
Is it Ray who said that?
Ray is crying. I thought you said that. You threatened to leave them down here.
Right, I thought I was threatening Lasian.
You were threatening Lasian, but Ray heard it and inferred it.
Who cried. Okay.
Yes, correct.
Miss Worthware.
Gasmere,
Yeah. Take this.
I'll grasp my staff.
Do those pickaxes in the over yonder actually exist?
They do. Everything actually exists. One of them is missing because Yoros took it, but you see them in the world. There is another in excellent condition pickaxe right there.
Well, if Yoros is already holding one, then Gasmir steps over and says, "Would you mind giving me that?"
The pickaxe?
Yes.
I mean, if you want to take a shot, by all means.
She will take the pickaxe and kind of wedge it into the wheel so that a part of it goes in it, and then with force steps down on the other side, so it attempting to wrench it off.
I follow. Roll strength.
And Brenner attempt to assist pushing with the wheel as well.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
9.
If you're getting assisted, roll it at advantage. Roll it again.
Okay.
Brenner Oswick lends his
20.
assistance. A dirty 20. You both
Yes.
pull as hard as you can on this thing. You stomp on it, wrestle with it, and grab it. And this wheel, tarnished and massive, pops off and lands on the ground. The 3 miners all work to, as best they can, move their legs, but all 3 of them seem unable, uncoordinated, unable to walk. Certainly unable to move their legs very much other than small movements.
Brenner will start to drag the chains that are on the axle off, so they're at least loose from that mud.
You do so. They sigh in relief. Lasian asks, in a defeated sounding voice, "Please get us out."
Working on it.
Fellas, we're gonna have an issue with the water that's covering the escape. Now that I'm here, I have an idea, though.
You tell.
I'm gonna walk over and try and grab the shovel that I see here.
Mm-hmm.
I think we can dig a trench to the abandoned mine shaft in the other direction, and relieve some of the water in that gully.
How long do you expect it to take?
Not a short amount of time.
We don't have that kind of time.
I'm open to other options. I can give you what I think, but you may not like them.
Taldred turns to the miners. Where does that other hole go?
Other hole, Lasian says.
Yeah, the one we had to swim here. Did you know that? Did you know the mine is filled with water?
No. She coughs into her elbow. What do you mean the other way? I'm sorry, go ahead, Gasmer.
Are you able to hold your breath?
She tries. She holds in her breath, but is perhaps too frail to do it for more than about a second.
I don't think we should expose these people to freezing cold water.
No, there's another path right before the entrance into this chamber. Has anyone been down there yet?
I didn't even see it.
No, I followed the tracks immediately over here.
Well, I would like to go, and I would like to not go alone.
I'll come
I'll
with.
come with you.
Thank you.
Once we're out of the room, I'll just say, Riley, that's the three of us again, I see. I'll smile sideways at Brenner, see if I can get a rise out of him.
A little bit of one. Orman clicks.
Taldred Talton, roll perception.
21.
You heard that. What the fuck is fomenting with these people?
Taldred has bigger fish to fry right now, but that is going on the back burner.
You and me are of one mind. Nothing Gold, Ada, Brenner. The cave, the topography of the cave trends upward here. This area is slanted upward, and it's dry. The ground is muddy and dusty, but you can navigate it no problem, and you can see that there is a tunnel leading downward.
Now, if we were to dig a trench to lead that water out of that hole, how long do you think it would take? I'm asking this both across the table and on the table.
By hand? You're
That's
assuming
also-
we're not going to find like an industrial drill to help us out down here?
There's a shovel.
Oh, you want to do this with one shovel?
Dug trenches. It takes a really long time. We don't have the supplies. We don't have the manpower. I don't
Okay.
think that's a viable option.
Well, then I guess I'm going to have to freeze all the water, and we're going to have to break our way through it.
Can you freeze some of the water?
This isn't exactly a surgical procedure. And I'm not even certain it'll work the way I want.
I just don't want you to block off our only exit.
I have a feeling if I light a fire down here, it'll be more than the water that's boiling. The last thing I want to do is cast a fire spell, and I'll look at Nothing Gold, trying to communicate this idea very intensely.
Like I said, I didn't think steam would be a pleasant way to die.
I don't think explosive mining material is a pleasant way to die either. Asphyxiation is not the right way to go.
As soon as the word asphyxiation exits your lips, you think about something, perhaps for the first time. What's the oxygen supply like down here?
Do I feel lightheaded?
No.
I wonder what materials we're getting fumigated with right now. There must be a way out of here, or else these people wouldn't have lived 2 weeks. They would have died of oxygen deprival.
Well, more to the point, there's only 3 of them, and we were sent to find 4. Now, either the 4th escaped from the lift, or this tunnel is going to show us alternatives we haven't considered yet, so why don't we keep going?
Well, I think I saw shackles in there, if I'm not mistaken.
You're not wrong.
They were
prisoners.
shackled?
They
Had
were
to pop the
shackled?
wheel off.
Oh, that's right, there's a mine cart. We could use the mine cart to deliver water to this area of the tunnel.
Who's
If we-
pushing the minecart?
Well, we'll have to put in some elbow grease, but it is plausible. It's better than digging a trench. Do you not agree, Brenner?
Not the worst idea. We're gonna have to put the wheel back on, though.
She kind of dances around and claps her hands together and says, I'm really enjoying this putting together of minds, but can we please see what's down this tunnel?
All right. Lead ahead. I'll shine my staff.
You do so, providing a light source. We linger for a moment on this level of Garden Reach to check in on Gasmir, Yoros, and Taldred. What business do you have with the prime material plane before we examine further?
Taldred is asking. He's saying, "Why were you chained to this thing?"
Roll persuasion.
$11.
You say this. Ray, who seems to be the most discombobulated of the three, is lying on his back. When you say this, he says, "Fucking Alex," but nothing else.
Alex Denal, the new hire.
Ray is looking at the ceiling and says, "That motherfucker."
What did he do?
I don't know. I don't even want to think about what she did. We check in with people going deeper and farther into the world.
I shine my light and look with my eyes.
You find yourself somewhere new. Arriving into this second floor, nothing gold. This is a jagged scar cut into the world. The timbers here are reinforced. The tunnels are long and winding and get narrower and narrower. Here in this first room, you see something disconcerting. There's a crude spot here where it looks like some type of medical procedure was done. There's a silver tray sitting next to a pile of dried blood. Forgive me, a puddle of dried blood.
All right, well, somebody went down this way.
I will put my finger to my mouth,
You do so.
and I'll whisper, "There's danger here."
A very human reaction to seeing blood, I understand.
Just imagine it's tree sap.
She does wince at that. These tunnels, are they sloping? We entered a downward tunnel.
You examine the tunnels, nothing gold. You notice something as you peer just past whatever the surgery site was. You notice that there's a thin, small, relatively well-controlled trail of blood leading further into the tunnel. And it looks like some of these cuts into the rock here were made instead of with equipment or heavy machinery, with individual strokes of a mining pick. They almost look like brush strokes, nothing gold.
Somebody did this by hand.
Maybe it's the fourth miner.
Maybe instead of waiting for the lift, they were gonna... Should we follow this blood?
I'm going to look at Brenner.
We came for 4.
I'm going to dim my light. And I'm going to pantomime pretty exaggeratedly, moving with caution, trying not to make noise. Which is why I looked at Brenner, because he's clad in iron.
It's gonna be hard. It's gonna be tough for me to be quiet.
We'll take our time. We need you.
we're going forward, Brenner will slowly walk behind them.
Yeah, so they're approaching stealthily.
You pass around this bend. The tunnel gets very narrow here. And as you pass around here, the acoustics change and you can hear something. Distantly, you hear a tink, tink, tink. It sounds like the characteristic work of a single miner. Roll perception.
16.
We're in dim light, right?
We are in dim light.
17.
18.
All three of you come to the same conclusion. The cadence of that mining is odd. It's too rhythmic. No miner with a heart would have a pattern to their strokes like that.
Maybe they had a machine.
That sounds right. Some other contraption. I'm going to take a second and whisper into the ether at Euros. There's something else down here. I'll be in touch.
We visit the destination of that whisper. Euros, a message arrives.
I will quickly respond with, if you go too deep, you can't.
Message has a range of 240 feet.
I will relay this to the other two, that they have found something else further in.
Is Alex down here? Taldred asked the miners.
They look between each other. Legion speaks. Can we please just leave? Why does it matter? Why do you need to know?
It's not that simple, because you're all frail and you're going to be hard to move.
How does us staying here help with any of that?
Oh, if you can't hold your breath, you're going to drown.
And with how frail you are, you're going to freeze.
What are you going to do for us then? Well, they seem exasperated and desperate.
Same.
We're working on it.
You said they found something. Define something.
This is posed at Euros, I believe, right?
Yes.
She did not mention. She just said something.
Gasmir turns around and heads off.
Are these three stable enough for us to step away?
Honestly, I'd rather not.
What do you suggest?
The four of them can explore. All right, I need you here with me. Their condition could turn at any moment. Taldred does not say that in front of the miners. He kind of has an aside with Euros, just to be clear.
They are almost incapacitated, and you can easily find a drop in the conversation to have a little kind of ear to ear type of thing.
Yeah, but I know next to nothing about medicine. What good am I going to be?
Extra set of hands always helps.
All right.
Also, I'd rather not be alone in the dark in a cave.
You have your shiny light, though. And you have 3 friends.
Taldred just stares at Euros.
I'm sorry.
Ray summons all of his strength to sit up and lie against the mining cart.
I will, before Gasmir completely disappears, I will simply send her a quick message. If anything happens, make some kind of signal so we can hear.
I can respond to this message, was it?
You can, yes. If you, yeah. Have you ever, would your character have ever experienced message?
Good question. Probably actually yes. Because of background.
Okay, then you would know how to respond.
Okay. Makes sense. Best prepare Rush to our aid then.
What was I didn't catch that, Ridley. I'm sorry.
She will say that you best be prepared to rush to our aid then.
Always.
Because she is kind of expecting that there's going to be something nasty, probably. Assume the worst.
You assume the worst while you're alone. You feel a bit precarious here. You are by yourself going deeper into the cave.
Well, she will look for the light of Ada's staff, I guess, which she's currently hiding, but
You
she does have the ring still, right? How long does that last?
It lasts forever.
Oh, okay.
Until I tell you otherwise.
it's like an at will kind of thing.
Okay, she will, like, press that hand against the wall to kind of guide herself onwards.
You feel around. Your ring does not have the same the same luminosity as like a torch or something like that. But as you said, you can sense the area around you. This first room, there's a small alcove, and there is a hasty surgery site, you hope, where some type of medicine was done here. There's blood and a silver tray with medical supplies.
Probably qualifies as the something that they found. But no sign of the others, so she's going to keep looking.
It's very quiet down here.
She'll probably attempt to be quiet as well. I mean, we've been kind of making it a racket, but might as well.
Take your move if you do so. You see something. A bit of reflection off of Brenner's armor as you walk down this hallway. You can see Brenner's left pauldron.
Are they obviously... They obviously try to be quiet, right? Okay, well, Gasly will attempt the stealthy approach as well. I'm scared, Brenna. Oh no.
From behind you, Ada, nothing gold Brenner, you hear Alyssa Gastmere.
I will put my finger up to my ear, pantomiming to you.
You hear something, Gastmere. You hear, distantly, tink, tink, tink. And then again, tink, tink, tink.
Brenner holds his hand up and points forward.
I'll give a thumbs up. Keep moving.
Nothing Gold will slink in lead down the hallway.
Nothing gold. The tunnel gets narrower here. You're heading downward and downward. This is a sloping path. At the end of this hallway, there is a switchback, and in that switchback, you see a little bit of sunlight. Looking up, you can see what must be a crack in the massive rock here that lets just a little bit of sun and a little bit of water through. It's collecting in a small pool here. Little bits of moss are growing on the exposed rock. From the sunlight, you can infer a couple vague things about the time of day. At the very least, it's not nighttime.
How high up is this crack?
Higher than you can reliably estimate. Looking up into the ceiling, it cuts irregularly into the rock.
If she dips her fingers into the pool, does it have that same burning sensation?
It doesn't. It feels cool and clean. Reminds you of the water from your horn.
She'll just make the okay sign. The universal yes. This is safe. And then from the switchback, I assume the tunnel starts leading up again.
That is incorrect. The tunnel is still leading downward.
Why are we going down? Oh, where are we going?
I will follow you.
Checking in on your compatriots that are mere feet closer to the terrestrial world. How are we looking in here with the miners?
Taldred is eating and drinking.
Taking a short rest?
I suppose he's just trying to pass the time. There's not much else he can do.
The miners seem eager to have respite, and any food that you drank, or I'm sorry, any food or drink that you summon for them, they are quickly going through, trying to replenish themselves. They're having a hard time, but they seem to like the roots and nuts. It's got to be better than this dead mule that was rotting for God knows how long.
Taldred reminds them to slow it down and not eat too much, or they're gonna puke it back up.
You do so, guiding them on correct refeeding methods.
Also, I'm going to refill my water skin with just some housekeeping stuff with the water I summoned, since I didn't fill it earlier.
You do so. You fill your water skin with summoned water. I see you're already updating the manifest. Euros, any thoughts, questions, observations about what you see?
What's with all this, like, curious about these giant piles in the corners.
Some of this seems to be repurposed. This may have been a dumping ground at some point, but the miners, quickly trying to find a place to stash their waste, started using these as latrines. There is certainly nothing of value here.
Just mere curiosity of how their setup was as we're passing time.
You get a glimpse into the depravity and desperation of being trapped underground for who knows how long.
Taldred says, "I'm sorry. I wouldn't have left you down here."
They take this very seriously. All three nod. Ray rubs his sore head. They are silently appreciative that you would say that. You realize how scary it must have been to have rescuers come and then threaten to pull the rug out from under them. You felt yourself wielding fear, Taldred.
E3 did actually an excellent job surviving as long as he did. I commend it.
Garrett coughs. Thanks. Are you getting us out of here, please?
We are working on a solution. We promise you.
Let's just take the lift. Let's just go. Let's go right now.
It is underwater.
The lift is underwater. There's a lot of water. And then Taldred thinks, there was a machine in the room that was filled with water. Do you know what the machine was?
There's the machine. He throws up his arms. Are you talking about the lift?
No, it's like a metal cylinder on the other side of the room.
Oh, there's a water tank. It holds drilling fluid.
Drilling fluid?
Yeah.
Okay, that tank appears to have ruptured.
Okay, well, I think we're done here anyway.
You don't understand.
So what does it matter?
There's drilling fluid all over the place. We can't move you through it.
Fine. Well, I wouldn't want to touch the stuff if I didn't have to. We go back to our compatriots below the surface.
think Nothing Gold's like almost on all fours, just like loping down this tunnel, this very narrow tunnel.
The tunnel is very narrow. There are sections at which you are unable to get your torso through it front way, and you have to tilt yourself to the side to make your way through. The entire time you can hear the tink, tink, tink getting louder and louder. It echoes through the cavern.
Is there a temperature shift?
It's very cold down here, and you are still dripping wet. It's hard to tell anything other than holy fuck, you are freezing.
I'm sure that inspires in some small part this need to keep moving. But I think eventually she comes to this point where it seems to widen into a chamber.
It widens into a chamber, and you see two figures here. One is moving, and one is unmoving. One is facing away from you. One is simply an arm. The moving figure is a slender arm attached to a mining pick. The elastic of the arm's muscle snaps with power, and the pick slams into the stone, exposing more of a brilliant, silver-colored vein of mithril ore. There is someone standing looking away from you, a feminine figure. Her right arm has been crudely amputated, and the open wound of her shredded rotator cuff is glistening.
I'm going to whisper message unknown if it'll receive, but I'll just whisper possibly a necromancer.
Euros, you feel nothing. It is thus, let me ask the party this, across the table. It is currently 8:42. The session ends at 9 either way. Would you prefer to push a large amount of exposition and plot moving to next week, or chop it kind of mid-thing here? I would probably prefer if we cut it here, pick up here next week. I think
Sounds
that's
good.
reasonable instead of like
Sounds good.
pushing on for the last 15 minutes. Okay. Well, we cut the session here. And you maybe have a lot to think about for next week.
Yeah, like how to move water.
Drilling fluid.
I had like 4 good ideas, I just want to say.
Brenner is a dumb man. He does not understand how machines work, doesn't understand how magic works. He just wants to get the people out of there. He was like super willing to just drag them through it.
Quick question about there was sunlight that we passed. Like, how large of an opening is that?
The opening that's it's like right what Gasmir just went through. Imagine that you Ridley are passing through a cave, and there is an opening that it is narrow enough that you can't go through it like front ways. You have to kind of like shimmy through it on your side. It's maybe 1.5 feet wide. You can wedge through there, but it's not pretty.
Like where the sunlight was, this leads up basically, but it's not. Could a person fit into that?
Not even close. This is a crack.
Okay.
Just a bit of sunlight and water is getting through.
To taunt us. Or to inspire hope and kindle
Do you feel taunted or inspired?
more inspired. She feels inspired as a character. I feel taunted out of character.
Good. I'm glad you feel taunted.
And Taldred Taunton's not even here.
This is fucked.
It is fucked, but I'm sure you'll fix it next week. Can everybody make next Friday? Everyone's good? Next Friday, 1 week from today?
Yes.
Okay.
18.
Wonderful. Well, I am going to go eat. It was wonderful having all of you. Thank you so much. Please, I haven't really been watching the chat, but if you have thoughts, especially if it's for the group throughout the week, please put it in Discord so we can all kind of weigh in and kind of keep the conversation going until next week.
Sounds good. Thank you for hosting.
Sounds good.
Yes.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you for
Have
the
a
game.
good night, all.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Night night.
Night, guys.